the most powerful phone in history. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176 Competition 175 Brother Xu Feng. The extremely fast figure was none other than Ye Feng, and when he heard Xu Feng's voice, he recognized him immediately, and then saw Yuelao beside him, and said, Yuelao, you're here too, haha, so you are here. I heard Aunt Zhang yelling just now, and thought that the Xu family came to seek revenge. As he said that, he walked up to give Xu Feng a big hug, and Yuelao at the side snorted and said, Senior Brother Feng, you are too bullying, you didn't recognize him immediately. Ye Feng smiled awkwardly and said, my fault, Senior Brother here apologizes to you. Feng, don't you want to introduce us? Second Meng's voice on the side said quietly. Ah, that's right, I forgot. Ye Feng patted his forehead, then pointed to Xu Feng and the two of them and said, this is my brother Xu Feng, and this is junior sister Yuelao, who is Master's daughter. Then he introduced Meng and said, this is my wife, Meng. Then he pointed to Chu Chu and said, this is Chu Chu. After the introduction, Xu Feng and Yuelao followed Ye Feng and the others to the village. After a short walk, a tall man came out. It was Bu Jingyan. Of course, everyone exchanged pleasantries. Then we arrived at the three connected courtyards in the northeast corner of the village. In one of the courtyards, a man was playing with two children. Why are you here? Brother, let's come to see you. Wow, these two children are so cute. What are their names? This person is the elder brother Qin Shuang, and the two children are the sons of Ye Feng and Bu Jingyan, both of whom gave birth to sons. After exchanging pleasantries with everyone, they began to prepare dinner. Yuelao soon got to know Meng and Chu Chu very well, and the three of them were as close as girlfriends who had known each other for many years. While the two children were still fighting in the yard, Xu Feng, Qin Shuang, Bu Jingyan, and Ye Feng sat in the pavilion in the yard together. The good brothers hadn't seen each other for many years, and naturally only wine could express their differences. Friendship. Everyone drank happily with a jar of wine. Then they each talked about their situation after parting. Of course, Shuang, Yun, and Feng have always been together, so the three of them talked together. In fact, Xu Feng has not been in this world at all for the past few years, so he just fabricated it casually. Some Senior Brother Shuang, Senior Brother Yun and Senior Brother Feng have all found their own happiness. Are you still alone? Xu Feng asked curiously. Qin Shuang smiled awkwardly and said, yes, I plan to live alone in this life. Senior Brother Shuang, life is very long, you should think about it for yourself, some things have to be let go after all. Xu Feng didn't know what to say, this kind of thing is very personal, and others can't talk about it. Qin Shuang smiled and said, don't talk about me, why are you still alone? I think Yuelao should be very affectionate towards you. Don't let her down. Now it's Xu Feng's turn to be embarrassed. He didn't expect to be sent to the army, and thinking of Yuelao felt sad again. He couldn't give her happiness after all, so he could only pretend to be embarrassed and smiled and didn't respond positively. Bu Jingyan has always been known as the cold-faced king, and he has always seldom talked, just drinking silently. On the contrary, Ye Feng has always had the best friendship with Xu Feng. While drinking, he led Xu Feng to talk a lot, and the two discussed many things about martial arts. Brother Xu Feng, I didn't have time to ask you at the entrance of the village just now. Your martial arts have really improved a lot. I'm afraid I won't be your opponent anymore, haha. Where? Xu Feng smiled, you didn't use all your strength at the time, but I did. Qin Shuang quickly asked what was the matter. After all, they were both martial arts students. When it came to martial arts cultivation, they were all enthusiastic. Ye Feng then told the scene at the entrance of the village just now. When he heard that the two had exchanged palms, Ye Feng retreated after 3 steps, and Xu Feng stayed still. Even Bu Jingyan, who had been drinking silently, changed his face. After hearing this, Qin Shuang couldn't hold back anymore, took a sip of wine, stood up abruptly and said, Brother Xu Feng, come and let's compete. Xu Feng smiled awkwardly and said, Senior Brother Shuang, how can I fight you? No way. Are you looking down on me? Qin Shuang said deliberately with a downcast face. How could it be, Senior brother Shuang, my martial arts is really inferior to the 3 senior brothers. Okay, big man, don't be inked. Our 3 brothers usually play every day. Otherwise, our legs and feet will be degenerated. Come quickly. Xu Feng had no choice but to stand up and fight. The 2 walked to the middle of the yard and stood still, and the 2 little ghosts naturally hid far away to the side. Qin Shuang made a starting gesture, and then punched him, without a word of nonsense. With this punch, the sound of a sonic boom could be heard, the air was torn apart by it, and a ring of high pressure was blasted towards Xu Feng like a high-pressure cannonball. Xu Feng nodded silently in his heart, thinking that the power of this move is very good, it is worthy of being the head of the 3 major disciples of Xiongba, and it can obviously be felt that it has improved a lot compared to previous years. But he is not afraid in his heart. After all, during the days of leaving, he has already practiced Tai Chi Zhuan Qingdao to drive things in the world of Jade Immortals. In other words, Xu Feng at this time has left the category of ordinary martial arts. Whether it is true energy or life level, they have entered the innate way from the acquired state. Judging by the strength of the cultivation world, it is equivalent to having already cultivated in the foundation building stage. The true energy in the body, whether it is density or purity, cannot be compared with the internal force cultivated by acquired warriors. Qin Shuang's fist reached Xu Feng's face in an instant, but Xu Feng remained motionless. Nai Feng, who was watching the battle, couldn't help but sweat for him, and Qin Shuang also thought that Xu Feng was unwilling to confront him. But it's a pity that I can't retract my fist at this time. Seeing that this punch was about to hit Xu Feng's face directly, Xu Feng suddenly moved at a critical moment, and he stretched out his palm lightly, as if slowly but surely resisting Qin Shuang's punch. Then everything was still, there was no sound, and there was no response. This punch was like a mud cow entering the sea, without making a sound. Qin Shuang was stunned for a moment. Only then did he truly realize Xu Feng's terror in his heart, but he was very unwilling. He knew the power of his punch very well. He really didn't believe that anyone could take his punch so lightly. But all this happened in front of his eyes. He knew that he had lost, and he had lost completely. His martial arts should be far, far behind Xu Feng in front of him. So after changing the expression on his face several times, he put down his fist, but the expression on his face did not appear lonely, but sincerely clasped his fist and said, "Brother Xu Feng, it seems that junior brother Feng still underestimated you. I admire you. I didn't expect this. You have improved so rapidly over the past few years." Xu Feng smiled and said, "Senior brother Shuang, you are being polite." The 2 returned to their smiling faces, and were about to return to the wine table when Bu Jingyan, who had been silent all this time, came out and said, "I'll try." Chapter 177. Xu Feng is helpless. It is deeply helpless at this moment. These people really deserve to be aggressive? Why do they challenge themselves one by one? Now this Bu Jingyan has to try. Then will he win or not? Do you want to win easily, or do you pretend to win after fighting for a while? After thinking about it in my heart, I thought that I came to Fengyan this time to persuade them to go to slaughter the dragon together. It is impossible to hide this kind of thing, so I can only tell the truth, and to tell the truth, Fengyan will go with me. There is only one way, and that is to convince them with the righteousness of the nation and the happiness of the common people in the world. Zhu Wuxian's invasion is definitely a useful excuse. Based on his understanding of Feng and Yun, Xu Feng is sure that they will not refuse this matter, but they really want to survive the world in their hearts, and Xiongba is just for him to return to the peak. As for myself, it was just for that long yuan. Then I can't be too strong at this moment, otherwise how can I convince them that Zhu Wuxian is a big threat? So in the next competition, Xu Feng intentionally waterproofed it. After all, his realm was much higher than Bu Jingyan's, so even if you release the water, none of the 3 people present could tell. After the move, Xu Feng pretended to catch a floor accidentally, and won a small victory with half a move. Bu Jingyan stopped immediately. He knew that he had lost, so he naturally stopped entanglement. Nai Feng and Qin Shuang, who were watching the battle, sighed again. "Lian Yun is not your opponent. Brother Xu Feng, have you encountered any adventures in recent years?" Xu Feng laughed. "It's just a coincidence. It's a coincidence." It was getting late at this time, and the girls had already prepared the meal. Everyone helped to move it to the long table in the yard. The rice is of course also excellent. 7 people and 2 children, everyone sat together happily, and laughter came from the table from time to time, It was really like a big family. Xu Feng was also a little touched. He couldn't help thinking that he hadn't been with his parents and family like this for a long time. Have a happy meal. Sometimes happiness can really be very simple. There were a lot of people at the table, and there were two little ghost heads, and it was inconvenient to talk about his plans when he first arrived, so Xu Feng didn't mention a word. Everyone had a good night of drinking, and then went back to rest. The 3 courtyards lined up side by side had plenty of rooms, and they were all packed in the afternoon. Yuelao had arranged for the 2 girls, so Xu Feng said goodbye to everyone and went back to his room to rest. Although he drank a lot of wine, for Xu Feng at this time, things like wine could no longer paralyze him. If necessary, no matter how much wine he drank, he would not get drunk, but tonight, because he thought of his family, he deliberately didn't use any strength to resist the alcohol, so at the moment his head was really heavy, so he fell down and fell asleep on the bed. His body felt unspeakably comfortable, and he didn't have to think about it anymore. Especially down to earth. The next day, Xu Feng woke up naturally from sleep. To be precise, he was woken up by the sunlight outside the window. This feeling of sleeping until the sunlight woke him up was really good, full of energy, as if he had gained a new life, and there is no such state of being unable to wake up, and he just got up from the bed. Opening the window, I couldn't help but stretched a lot, and then took a deep breath towards Ye Xiner. This breath was really deep, and lasted for about half a stick of incense. If you look carefully, you will find with the dancing of the sun, a stream of lavender particles continuously entered Xu Feng's breath. This is a practice method unique to those who are cultivators. The essence of heaven and earth is the purest in the morning of the day, so whether it is a mortal warrior or a cultivator, he will ask to get up early. After Xu Feng had finished absorbing it all at once, the door was pushed open. Chu came in with a basin of water and said, "You get up, wash your face quickly, and get ready for dinner." He hurriedly stepped forward to pick it up, and said, "Sister-in-law, how dare you bother you with this matter? I won't dare to do it in the future, it really breaks me." A simple bun was tied on Chu's head, some hair was loose at the temples, and she exuded a seductive aura unique to young women. Xu Feng didn't dare to look at it, so he took the water and was ready to wash his face. "Then you wash first, remember to come to eat right away, I'm leaving first," Chu said, and walked out Ying. After breakfast, Nai Feng, Qin Shuang, and Bu Jingyan all picked up their farm tools and were about to go to the fields to do farm work. Yuelao said in surprise, "Senior brother, why are you going?" Nai Feng was wearing the most common coarse clothes, and said with a smile, "Go to work in the fields, we live here in seclusion, of course we have to support ourselves. Yuelao, you can stay at home with Chu and the others, we go and come back, soon." But Yuelao waited for a long time, but still didn't say anything. At first, she really couldn't accept that her senior brothers were all romantic figures in the martial arts world, and they would go to the fields to do farm work by themselves one day. But then I thought about it, there's nothing wrong with this is the real peaceful life, aren't I and my father are also self-sufficient, immediately relieved. Xu Feng was not too surprised, but he really admired the 3 of them in his heart. As expected of the real unrestrained and romantic, this kind of life closest to the land can really return to peace, unlike some people who find a country to live in seclusion. But it's just for show. He also took a farm tool from behind the door. Xu Feng shouted, "3 brothers, wait for me, I will go with you." Nai Feng's voice came from far ahead, "Come on quickly." Xu Feng turned his head and said to Yuelao, "Then I went with the 3 senior brothers, and you can stay at home with your sisters-in-law." After saying that, he chased after her. Yuelao was taken aback, and suddenly shouted, "Brother Feng, don't leave me behind, I want to go with you too." Second man covered her mouth with a smile, grabbed Yuelao who was about to run away, and said, "Little junior sister, come with us to wash clothes by the stream, don't go with these men." But in the end, Yuelao resentfully did not follow. On the other side, Xu Feng's footsteps are naturally easy, and he easily caught up with the 3 senior brothers in front. When the 3 saw Xu Feng catching up, Qin Shuang glanced at him and joked, "Brother Xu Feng, you wear such nice clothes, come down to the ground with us, and don't get your clothes dirty later." Xu Feng smiled and said, "It's okay, the things outside the clothes can work with the brothers, so what about the clothes?" Nai Feng smiled and said, "Brother Xu Feng, you should stop going to the fields later, there is very little work, and the 3 of us are all martial arts practitioners, This work is nothing to us, it will be done in a while, besides I don't think you can do farm work. Senior brother Feng, I still know how to do farm work. Don't worry about it anymore. Let's see how I perform later. Xu Feng was not lying. In the modern world, he has been doing farm work with his parents since he was a child. As a child born in a farm family, he still has a natural sense of intimacy and familiarity with everything on the land. All four of them are jade trees facing the wind. Walking together among the fields in this peaceful small mountain village is simply a beautiful scenery that is rarely seen in 1,000 years. When passing by the stream, the girls in the village who were laundering their clothes let out bursts of exclamation and cheers. And Nifeng and the others are obviously used to these things, passing by very calmly, but it is the first time Xu Feng has received such admiration, and he feels a little embarrassed in his heart. He turned around and smiled gratefully at the girls who were washing their clothes. Unexpectedly he turned around and smiled, which caused an even bigger commotion. The girls raised their voices an octave higher, and what was even more exaggerated was that two of them were too excited and surprised, and one of them was unsteady on their feet, and fell directly into the stream in front of them. Their clothes were completely wet. Xu Feng was taken aback, and his instinctive reaction was to save them. If someone died because of one of his smiles, it would be a big game. Fortunately, the stream was very shallow, and before Xu Feng could move, the girls who had fallen got up by themselves, but their clothes were wet by the water, and the scenery inside could be vaguely seen. Although these girls are not peerless youth, but fortunately they are at their young age, and possess the unique purity and simplicity here, like uncarved jade, they are still very beautiful. The girls' clothes were wet, so they were naturally very shy, so they didn't wash their clothes, and ran home in a hurry, covering their faces. Seeing this, Xu Feng turned around and followed the footsteps of the senior brothers in front. Chapter 178. Xu Feng followed in the footsteps of the brothers in front, and Qin Shuang said with a smile, "Brother Xu Feng, you are hurting the little girl by smiling back at you. Maybe the little girl will never forget you in the future. Are you going to treat her responsible? Eldest brother, don't make fun of me anymore." I originally responded politely, but I didn't expect this to happen. Everyone came to the field talking and laughing, just as Qin Shuang said, everyone is a martial arts practitioner, and their physical strength is different from ordinary people. This kind of ordinary farm work does not challenge them at all. Everyone just treats it as an entertainment. Activities, or activities of self-cultivation, only when you personally touch the land, touch the crops, sow and weed, and then watch the seeds you planted grow and mature a few months later, and finally eat them in your mouth, people will gain a great sense of satisfaction. This kind of satisfaction is difficult to achieve with any other things, and sometimes people feel unbelievable in a trance. This is actually the growth process of life, and it is like a miracle. Many people believe in God and pursue miracles everywhere. I hope that the gods will show up, but who knows that the real miracle is around us, and it is visible every day, isn't it? A seed, bury it in the soil, and then water and fertilize it. It can actually undergo various changes, grow up, bloom, and bear fruit, and these only happen in a few short months. Therefore, in agricultural society, farmers have the most sincere belief in the land, because they know the divine power of the land under their feet best. And Nifeng and the others, as warriors, by being close to the land, are also a kind of cultivation of their own martial arts art. When practicing martial arts to the highest level, sometimes it is not just a simple move, but the understanding of the Tao of everyone in the competition. If the understanding of the nature of heaven and earth can go further, there will be a chance to break through the limit of martial arts, and step into the realm of innate from acquired. However, in the ordinary world and ordinary warriors, no matter how well they comprehend the way of heaven and earth and cultivate their xingxing, they may not be able to break through, but it is different in this world of wind and cloud. It is very possible in this world. There are divine beasts such as dragons and fire unicorns in the world, and there will be buggy characters like Ye Xiner in the later stage, so everything is still possible. After working, when I returned home, Yuelao and Chuchu had already prepared the meals. The two children couldn't help but started stealing food from the sidelines. Xu Feng's heart was also full of warmth. This kind of life is actually very happy. All living beings, isn't the pursuit of most people's life such a simple happiness? But in the troubled times, this kind of life has become a longing, and only this isolated paradise can enjoy such happiness. But Xu Feng knew that his own way was not like this. Although he wanted to miss this kind of warmth, he wanted to pursue a wider world, the truth of this world, and what was behind the Tao of that day. In this vast world, in the vast universe, there are too many unknown things. Since I got this mobile phone system to help me open such a door, I have already peeped into the corner of the world outside the door. If I want to return to peace, it is already impossible. The flame in his heart has been ignited, and he can't turn back, but he doesn't regret it either. Everyone has their own way of life and their own choices, or as Buddhism says, everyone has their own destiny. In the next few days, Xu Feng followed Bu Jingyan and the others to do activities together, either drinking and competing in martial arts, working in the fields together, hunting in the mountains, or taking 2 brats to catch fish in the water. As for Yuelao, she also wore the same skirt with her Meng and Chuchusi. The 3 girls ate and slept together, and then exchanged the little things between their daughters. In short, after these few days, both Xu Feng and Yuelao have fully integrated into this paradise, and Xu Feng didn't mention the dragon slaying during this period. He has already thought about it, and there is no need to worry about this matter. After all, Xiaongbin needs to find more people, so it should take a while, and he can take it slowly. And this place is indeed a paradise. Yuelao is also very happy here. Xu Feng also wants to make her happy for a while. He planned to wait until the time was right, and then find an opportunity to avoid Yuelao, Meng, and Chu, and only talk about it with Qin Shuang and his 3 brothers. As for Yuelao, in the end, his plan was to let Yuelao stay here. The road ahead is too dangerous. It is not suitable to take Yuelao with him. In this way, several people spent a happy and unforgettable month in this small village. During this time, Xu Feng and the people in the village also got to know each other. The people here are very simple and easy to get along with and wonderful. But no matter how beautiful things are, there will always be an end. There are no exceptions in this world. There is no flower that is invincible, and there is no spring that lasts forever. Beauty is more precious because of its ephemerality. Guessing that the time was almost up, Xu Feng went to the field with Qin Shuang and the 3 of them after breakfast early in the morning as usual. After arriving in the field, Feng couldn't wait to roll up his sleeves and start weeding. Bu Jingyan seldom talked, so he also kept his head down and weeded silently. Seeing this, Xu Feng hurriedly said, 3 senior brothers, don't be too busy working, I have something to tell you. Feng smiled and said, Brother Xu Feng, just talk about what you have to say. Wouldn't it be better to talk while you're working, so there's no delay? Xu Feng thought for a while and didn't say anything more, so he rolled up his sleeves and joined the ranks of work. After working for a while, he slowly said, 3 senior brothers, I am here to bring Yuelao to see you this time. On the one hand, I really want to see you, but in fact, I have something more to come to you of. Speaking of this, Xu Feng paused, wanting to see how the 3 senior brothers reacted. Qin Shuang waited for a while, seeing that Xu Feng didn't speak, so he smiled and said, Go on, let's listen. Xu Feng smiled awkwardly, and continued, 3 senior brothers, I actually came here this time to tell you a piece of news. The thing is like this, the 3 senior brothers also know that although Shangba has retired, the world is not peaceful, and the common people in the world are still suffering. But after all, this is still our Central Plains people's own business. But some time ago, I got news that in the small country of Dongying located overseas in the east, there is a martial arts sect called Zhu Wu Jinggong, whose master is Zhu Wu Shen, who has strong martial arts and has become indestructible. The news I got is that he is planning to lead the Absolute Shrine to invade us when we have no leader in the Central Plains. Quotation mark. Chapter 179 The Last Road. What? When did this happen? Qin Shuang asked in surprise, and stopped what she was doing. I got the news about half a year ago, according to the person who gave me the information at the time. It is estimated that Absolutely Wushan should take action within a year. Feng and Bu Jingyan also stopped their work, and the smiles on their faces gradually disappeared, and their expressions became a little dignified. Feng said, if that Zhu Wushan really has become an indestructible body like Brother Xu Feng you said, it will be a big trouble. There should be no one in our Central Plains who is his opponent. I think so too. And another very important point is that this nature is different from the civil strife in our Central Plains. There is absolutely no God. If a foreign race succeeds in invading our Central Plains, we will be subjugated. And if a foreign race invades, innocent people will be massacred and oppressed and ruled by foreigners. After a pause, Xu Feng continued, So my opinion is that we martial arts people in the Central Plains must unite in order to have any hope of resisting Zhu Wuxian. After listening to Xu Feng's words, no one spoke for a while, obviously thinking about absorbing the news after a long time. Bu Jingyan said slowly, "Are you sure this news is true and reliable?" "Of course, otherwise, I wouldn't have come all the way to find the three senior brothers. This matter is related to the common people in the world. How dare I play tricks? I have already confirmed it repeatedly," Xu Feng said firmly. Bu Jingyan remained silent again after hearing this, while Qin Shuang on the side said, "It seems that it is not too late, but even if we add up, we will never be the opponent of absolute Wuxian in a short time, and we need to find more. A lot of martial arts righteous people can do it together. But now the martial arts in the Central Plains are in a mess, completely scattered and leaderless. I'm afraid it may be very difficult to unite everyone," Nifeng said worriedly. After thinking for a while, Nifeng continued, "Let's not talk about the difficulty of gathering the scattered sand. Even if we can really unite them all, is it possible to win against Zhu Wuxian? King Kong is not bad for magic. I believe you brothers, you have also heard the legend of it. It is one of the top martial arts in the rumors. There's even a legend that no one has practiced it since ancient times, so no one knows how powerful it is." The three fell into deep contemplation again, and the atmosphere suddenly became serious. Everyone was thinking about Nifeng's analysis just now, and desperately mobilized their brains to think about countermeasures. Seeing this, Xu Feng knew that the three senior brothers must have believed his words, and he had already made plans in his heart, and said, "Three senior brothers, I have actually considered all these aspects when I first got the news. The three senior brothers were also clueless. I thought about it for a long time, and finally found that if there is one person in this world who can reunite the heroes, that person is Xiongba." When it came to the word Xiongba, Xu Feng stopped and did not continue. He wanted to see the reaction of the three people to the name. After all, this name meant too much to Feng Guyan and the others. Xiongba was not only there, it can be said that he played the role of father, but later Xiongba became their biggest enemy, and the three brothers turned against Xiongba together. The ups and downs of this may only be understood by the parties concerned, and although Xu Feng persuaded the two parties to let go of their hatred, Shangbar retired from the arena and Feng Yun retired from the arena, but in the minds of the parties involved, has all this really been let go? But after a while, the three of them seemed to have no reaction. Xu Feng was a little surprised at first, but then he understood that no matter whether the three of them let go of it or not, as far as they are concerned, they must have thought of it. Only Xiongba can do it. Gathered the heroes of the world, so kept silent. Seeing this, Xu Feng continued, "After I went to find the leader Shuang, I told him about this matter, and I wanted to ask him to come out and gather all the heroes in the world to resist the invasion of Zhu Wuxian. At first, the leader was very reluctant. I have been declining me all the time, but later, under my insistence, he told the truth. He said that his martial arts have been abandoned, and it is still unknown whether the heroes of the world will listen to him after he left the mountain, and more importantly, he clearly knows that the body of King Kong is indestructible. He felt that even if he united with the Central Plains martial arts, he would not be the opponent of absolute Wuxian, so he didn't want to make unnecessary struggles." Qin Shuang couldn't help it when he heard this, and said, "What? Lian Master?" He blurted out "Master," immediately realized something was wrong, and paused. Is there no way for Lian Shuang to bully him? Since he thinks that uniting all the heroes in the world will not be the opponent of Zhu Wuxian, so we can only kill him? I don't care, even if we are sure to lose, I will fight against Zhu Wuxian to the death. Nifeng and Bu Jingyan didn't speak, but looking at their expressions, it was obvious that they were thinking the same thing as Qin Shuang. "Elder brother, I admire your bloodiness. We martial arts practitioners will not be frightened by difficulties." At that time, I also expressed a similar meaning to the gang leader. After hearing this, he was silent for a long time, and then he said that there is no way at all. At least he knows there is another way to try. In the following time, Xu Feng talked about the legend about the dragon and about the dragon slaying. Originally, he told Xiongba about it, but now he said it through Xiongba's mouth. This is what he and Xiongba discussed. Yes, so as to increase the credibility. Xu Feng sometimes feels that it is not easy for him. In order to achieve his goal, he has been telling lies recently, but he can only comfort himself. Lying is better than direct beating and killing. At least there is no need to kill people temporarily, and strict, for example, he can be regarded as a white lie. After all, he did not lie in big aspects, but implemented them. For example, Zhuoshan will indeed invade the Central Plains, and Qianlong is indeed their way of life. This is enough. He finished all the things about the dragon in one breath, and then analyzed the pros and cons of it, and finally said, the thing is like this, now the only way we can defeat Absolute God is to unite masters from the Central Plains, go to slaughter the dragon together, and after we get the dragon Yuan, we will have the capital to fight against Zhuoshan. After listening to what Xu Feng said, the three of them didn't make a sound, and they didn't even change their standing movements. Their eyes were all focused on the distant sky. In the field, the four of them each occupied a corner, holding a hoe in their hands, looking at each other speechlessly. Period. The wind blows gently, the lowing of cows can be heard in the distance, and the crowing of chickens and the barking of dogs can be heard faintly. Chapter 180 Persuasion. I don't know how long it took, but no one spoke in the room of the three, and everything seemed to be still. What broke this situation was Yuo's voice calling them to go home for dinner. Qin Shuang said, let's go back to eat first, let's discuss this matter next time. So everyone went back together first. Xu Feng knew that it might be difficult for the three of them to accept this matter at once, so he was not in a hurry, but he was confident in his heart that things would eventually go as he wished. In the next few days, Qin Shuang, Nai Feng and Bu Jingyan didn't talk to Xu Feng about this matter anymore, and Xu Feng didn't take the initiative to find them again. As time went by, Xu Feng became more and more confident, because if the three of them refused to agree, they would have rejected it a long time ago, and there is no answer until now, which can only show that the three of them are thinking about it. The result is more beneficial to yourself. Sure enough, on the morning of the fourth day, the same four of them went out to work together. When walking on the road, Nai Feng couldn't wait to say, Brother Xu Feng, I have discussed with Senior Brother and Senior Brother Yun in the past 3 days. We believe you in this matter. Since the absolutely invading God the Central Plains has become a fact, then the only way at present is to use the power of the dragon you mentioned, so we are going to go with you. After finishing speaking, he paused, and then said, but the three of us can't all go, so we decided to let Senior Brother Shuang stay to take care of Chuchu, Meng and the children. Senior Brother Yun and I will go with you. Xu Feng thought this was the best, and said, since the three senior brothers have discussed it, I have no objection. The two sister-in-laws and the two little nephews really need someone to take care of them. In addition, I also want to keep Yuo here. Nai Feng nodded after hearing this, and Xu Feng then said, there is one more thing, how should we explain this to my sister-in-law and the others? Yuelao and I didn't talk about the dragon slaying and the invasion of the Wuju shrine. Yes, I kept it from her all along. We have also discussed this matter, and we decided to keep it from them for the time being, and we don't want them to worry about us. Okay, that's the decision. By the way, Senior Brother Feng, when should we start? It's not too late, but how to tell Meng and the others that I haven't figured out an excuse yet, let's discuss it in the morning. While speaking, the four of them had already arrived in the field. Everyone was also waiting without saying a word, silently thinking about how to tell this white lie to Chuchu and the others. Xu Feng is also thinking about this matter. If he wants Senior Brother Shuang to stay and take Bu Jingyan and Nai Feng away alone, he must find a seamless excuse to hide it from Chuchu and Second Meng. This lie is not so easy to make up. Period. After a long time, the three people still had no voice. It might be more difficult for Bu Jingyan to tell a lie, and it would be more difficult for Qin Shuang, an honest person, to lie. In the end, this matter will actually fall on Xu Feng. There is no way. Xu Feng had to mobilize all his brain cells, like a machine running at full capacity to run his brain at high speed, quickly retrieve all the relevant knowledge in his mind, and think about this white lie. After coming over for a while, Xu Feng already had a clue, and said, three senior brothers, see if this method will work. Let's just say that a big devil has appeared in the Jianghu opponents, so to be on the safe side, everyone is going to go together, but considering the safety of the children, let the big brother Qin Shuang stay to protect you. In fact, this is not a lie, there is absolutely no God, it is this big devil. Let's tell them that this demon is not that powerful, and you two, Senior Brother Feng and Senior Brother Yun, will definitely be able to eliminate this demon very quickly. The three of them nodded silently after listening, obviously agreeing with Xu Feng's statement. So he finished work and went home. At the dinner table at noon, Bujingayan slowly opened his mouth. This was what the three of them had discussed before. After all, it was more credible for Bujingayan to say this kind of thing. Bujingayan said, I have something to tell everyone. As soon as he spoke, everyone sat upright and listened to him. A few days ago, I got news. Another demon appeared in the rivers and lakes to plunder. He has done a lot of evil and has already harmed many places. We are going to go out to see if we can stop it. We discussed it. I will go with junior brother Feng and brother Xu Feng, and let senior brother stay and take care of you. Chuchu was the first to speak out after listening. Brother Yun, when did this happen? Why don't I know? Will it be dangerous for you to go? Bujingayan said in a rare and gentle voice, Chuchu, don't worry, the three of us will go together. Even if there is any accident, we will be able to escape unscathed. You don't have to worry. Sitting next to Nifeng, Ermang just shook Nifeng's hand gently and didn't speak. There was worry in her eyes, but it was obvious that she believed in Nifeng. And Yuelao looked at Xu Feng and said loudly, I'm going to. How can you not take me with such a good thing? Nifeng smiled bitterly and said, Yuelao, this is not a joke. You stay here first, stay with your sisters-in-law, brother Feng, and I will deal with this big devil, and then come back to pick you up, okay? But Yuelao's young lady lost her temper and became unreasonable, shouting, No, I must go with you, you can't leave me behind. Xu Feng is really helpless. It seems that Yuelao really has a deep affection for him, but he is destined to let her down. Besides, Yuelao must not be taken with you on this matter, so he ruthlessly stopped him and said, Yuelao, this time it's really not a joke. That devil's martial arts are unfathomable. If you live with us, I don't have time to take care of you. If you have a problem, how can I explain to the boss and the old man? Hearing what he said, Yuelao knew that Xu Feng was determined not to take her, so she lowered her head and remained silent without speaking. Qin Shuang watched from the side, and said at this time, Junior sister, just listen to brother Xu Feng, you just wait here for them to come back. With the two junior brothers Fenggayan and Xu Feng together, nothing will happen. Yes. And if you want to go with them, it will distract them from taking care of you, which may cause problems. Yuelao suddenly raised her head and said in a crying voice, I know you all think I'm a burden, so I won't burden you anymore. Then she got up with tears and ran out the door quickly. Xu Feng stood up and wanted to catch up, but was held down by a slender hand. He turned his head and saw that it was the second dream. Second Meng shook his head at him, and said softly, Don't go there now, I'll follow up and have a look, I will try to persuade sister Yuelao. Xu Feng said, Then I will trouble you. Although Yuelao is very reluctant, she finally accepts this reality under second Meng's persuasion. The next morning Xu Feng bid farewell to everyone together with Bujingayan and Nifeng, and left this quiet village, this paradise, the only pure land in this troubled world. Chapter 181 Collection. Xu Feng set off with Nifeng and Bujingayan, and rushed towards the place where he and Xiongba had agreed to meet. Along the way, he saw that the people in the central plains were in dire straits, and a large area of land was barren. To household smoke. Xu Feng had seen these scenes all the way before he came, and he was still very moved when he saw them again, and he still had the thought in his heart, I would rather be a dog of peace than a person in troubled times. But Nifeng and Bujingayan saw this for the first time. Since the decisive battle with Xiongba, they have been living in seclusion in that paradise, and they have not understood the outside world for a long time. Seeing this tragic situation at the moment, their emotions can be said to be very complicated. When Shuang ruled the world martial arts, although he was very cruel and sometimes talked about it, there are still many civilians in the underground, at least they can live. Can barely survive. But now, this chaotic world, this ruined wall with no one in it, is this the result of their overthrow of Xiongba? Could it be that they did something wrong in the first place? At this moment, in their hearts, there is a battle between heaven and man. Some cannot bear to see the tragedy before them, and some have doubts about the consequences of what they were determined to do at the beginning. So the three of them didn't say anything along the way, they just hurried on in silence, and when encountering some refugees, Nifeng and Bujingayan always tried their best to help them. At the same time, somewhere in the central plains, a young man wearing a fiery red cloak was sitting on the second floor of a restaurant on the side of the street drinking alcohol, but his eyes were looking at the passers-by on the street below. And full of evil aura, no one dared to sit down at the several tables around him. He didn't seem to care about the eyes of others, and poured himself a drink, with a wicked smile hanging from the corner of his mouth. But at this time, a person came up from downstairs, dressed in a very weird way. His whole body was tightly wrapped, and he wore a bamboo hat on his head. After walking around, seeing the man in red, he walked over without any hesitation. Moreover, there were several empty tables next to him, but he didn't seem to notice it. He sat directly opposite the man in red, and put the sword in his hand on the table. His voice was crisp and clear, breaking the silent atmosphere. Then he didn't move any further, just sat there with his head down, continued to cover his face with a bamboo hat, and didn't speak. But the man in red on the opposite side was still drinking wine calmly, watching the scenery on the street outside the window. As if none of this happened, he completely ignored the person opposite. The two of them maintained this strange balance for a while. Neither of them made any next move, but there seemed to be something pervading in the air. It's like the sultry heat in the air and the ubiquitous pressure in the air before a heavy rain. There were a few other diners on the second floor. Seeing this atmosphere, who would dare to stay longer? They finished eating and slipped away quickly. After a while, only the two of them were left on the entire second floor. At this time, the waiter in the shop next to him has been walking around. It is impossible for him not to go up to treat a new customer, but the atmosphere is really too depressing. He is afraid that if he goes up and says the wrong thing carelessly, his life will be lost up. So he has been waiting and hesitating, but seeing that the other diners on the second floor are all gone, and the two people saw that they didn't make a move, so he swallowed, gritted his teeth and walked up. He was afraid that if he didn't go up to ask again, he was afraid even if the mysterious person is also angry, he will still be in big trouble. "Guest officer, what would you like to eat?" Xiao desperately suppressed the fear in his heart, squeezed out a smiling face and asked the masked man, but even so his voice was still visibly trembling. It's a pity that after the questioning, the mysterious man didn't respond for a long time, so Xiao could only ask in a trembling voice again, "Guest officer, if you don't eat it, then the villain will step down, step down." Seeing that the mysterious man didn't respond, he breathed a sigh of relief, and was about to turn around and quickly leave this place of right and wrong, but suddenly felt his body lighten, and the man flew out of the window, and his eyes could see that the sky was blue in the blink of an eye. There was a sound of pang, and the waiter had fallen to his death on the street outside the door. Flesh and blood flew everywhere, and the people on the street ran away in fright. At this time, the mysterious man who kept his head down and covered his face with a bamboo hat finally raised his head slowly. "It's really noisy, it's not winking." The young man in red still had the same evil smile on his lips. He had just finished a sip of wine, put down his glass and said, "People kindly ask you if you eat, but you want people's lives for no reason. You are really an unreasonable monster. How good are you? It's just that you are better at pretending than me." The man in red didn't refute, but said flatly, "You came here today to find something to do with me. If you fart, just let it go. Now that you have killed someone, I don't want to cause trouble. If you don't tell me, I will leave. It's not me looking for you, but the Lord wants to see you." "My lord." The man in red, his eyes narrowed, murmured, "Has Xiongba finally come out of the mountain again? Come with me, to see the Lord." The man in red raised his head, drank the last glass of wine, stood up without saying anything, took a fiery red long sword from the table beside him, and left with a mysterious man. In a monastery, on the main hall in the courtyard, a middle-aged monk was sitting knocking on a wooden fish. Suddenly, an arrow was shot from outside. The arrow was obviously shot with a strong bow. The speed was very fast, and it aimed at the monk's left chest, obviously wanting his life. If this were an ordinary monk, his soul would have returned to the western paradise of ultimate bliss long ago, but the one who knocked on the wooden fish seemed to have eyes on his back. When the arrow was still a few inches away from his back, he caught it with his backhand. He was knocking on the wooden fish with his eyes closed. Now he held the arrow in front of his eyes, opened his eyes, and saw a letter tied to the front end of the arrow. The monk was not surprised either. He reached out and took down the letter, then opened it and read it. Not long after reading the letter, the monk explained the things in the temple and left alone. This scene was performed in different places, by different characters, and in various ways. They all received the message, and then they all got up and set off without hesitation. Naturally, these people are the other 5 of the 7 weapons that Xiongba is in charge of contacting. Xiongba didn't know what method he used, but in a short period of time, He let these gangsters set out from their lair obediently one by one, toward the agreed good place to go. Chapter 182 The Nameless Town. This is an unnamed small town by the sea. It is sparsely populated and few outsiders come to this place. There is only one dilapidated inn in the town. A little wild cat curled up and occasionally stretched itself. There is only a bluestone street less than, meters long in the town. This is what Xu Feng and Bu Jingyan saw when they came here. This small town is really too small. In order to find this place, the three of them took a lot of detours. Although this place is the place Xu Feng and Xiongba made an appointment with, it was actually the place designated by Xiongba. Pian Continent is definitely not as familiar as Xiongba. At that time, he just told Xiongba the approximate location of the dragon, and then Xiongba found this small town by the sea based on the information provided by Xu Feng. The place where the dragon is located is an unnamed island on the East China Sea. Xu Feng can check the route to that island in his mind at any time, so even if he told the male Tyrannosaurus that he was on the island in the sea area, beyond the East China Sea, there are more than tens of thousands of small islands, and it is up to him to find them in the end. The agreement between Xu Feng and Xiongba is to meet in this small town first, and then Xiongba will bring a boat over, and everyone will go out to sea to search for the dragon together. Naturally, the three of them can only live in the only inn in the town. Xiner took a few people to the room to rest. Xu Feng observed this door and found that he should be the first to arrive. It seems that the people Xiongba was looking for have not come yet. It took more than a month to walk all the way, and the journey was exhausting, and the three of them didn't have a good rest, so although the environment of this inn is simple, Xu Feng and newfound Bu Jingyan fell asleep as soon as they lay down on the bed. Take a break. This sleep lasted until the next morning, when the sunlight outside the window came in, the dust floated in the air, dancing in the light beams. Xu Feng stretched his waist, and came back to life full of blood. Pushing the door and going out, I found that Bu Jingyan and newfound also walked out of the door together. The three of them looked at each other and smiled, and went downstairs together. The shop is really small, there is nothing to eat in the morning, so Xu Feng just ordered something casually, and then he and newfound were eating. The lighting in the shop is very bad, and a few people are sitting at the table facing the door superior. While eating, he suddenly felt dark. Xu Feng looked up and found a person walking in from the door. Ordinary people could not see the backlight clearly, but Xu Feng's eyes were not affected at all, and he could still see it clearly. A person's face and clothing. Dressed in red, there is always a mocking and evil smile on the corner of his mouth. The sword in his hand is getting more and more blood red, and his body exudes a strong bloodthirsty aura. Who else can it be if it is not Duanlang? But what surprised Xu Feng was that when Duanlang appeared, his Dementor actually responded. Although he put away the Dementor, he had already connected with it, and he could clearly feel it. At this moment, the Dementor has awakened, and there is a tendency to restlessness. Xu Feng had no choice but to comfort it with his mind, and it took him a long time to calm it down again. He guessed that the fire-lint sword should have caused the restlessness of the Dementor. After all, from the information he has learned, the fire-lint sword is also a bloodthirsty sword. Duanlang was once backlashed by the fire-scale sword, and it can even be said that he turned black in the end, or it may be due to the long-term subtle influence of the fire-scale sword, which caused his temperament to gradually deteriorate. However, no matter what the fire-lint sword is, it is nothing compared to Dementor. As a mysterious magic weapon of unknown level, Dementor is combined with blood-devouring Orban's Ye Xiner, but it is the most powerful one of the instruments. If he hadn't used the ability of the system to completely suppress the Dementor and confirmed that it would not affect him, Xu Feng would not dare to use it. After all, his cultivation base is too low at this time, and it is difficult to resist its influence. Newfound and Bu Jingyan obviously also noticed the person standing at the door, and Duanlang at the door was of course the first to see the three people sitting inside, so he stood at the door for a while, not knowing what to do as good. Although he is very arrogant, he also knows that when Feng and Yun are together, he will never be their opponent. As for Xu Feng beside him, he doesn't know Xu Feng's strength. After all, he has never seen Xu Feng make a move, so he didn't take Xu Feng seriously. It was newfound who broke the calm first. He stood up in surprise. Lang, how could it be you? How did you come to this place? Newfound's heart is always the most fraternal and gentle. He has always had special feelings for Duanlang. Although Duanlang has failed him and betrayed him time and time again, Seeing this childhood friend appearing in front of him makes him still a bit of a surprise. Why do you come here? That's why I'm here. Duan Langren is very smart. After the initial surprise, he guessed that since he can see these people in this remote town, he must be the same as himself, being dominated by Shuang summoned. Thinking of this, he calmed down. Although he had old grievances with Bu Jingyan, seeing Nifeng's attitude, he knew that the two of them would not trouble him, so he resumed his mask. After a sneer, he walked into the inn, found a table in the corner and sat down. From the beginning to the end, Bu Jingyan acted as if he hadn't seen this person, and ate on his own. As expected of an ice cube face, no one would ever be able to see anything from his face. Nifeng originally wanted to ask Duan Lang to have dinner with him, but seeing Brother Yun's attitude, he had no choice but to give up. And Xu Feng didn't say a word from the beginning to the end, because he was trying to appease his Dementor. Looking at the Dementor, if you released it, he might kill the fire-lint sword directly. It seems that these evil things are not pleasing to each other, and they want to devour them when they see the same kind. Maybe this is a way for evil things to evolve? The morning meal was finished in this weird atmosphere. After the meal, Xu Feng proposed to go to the seaside to have a look. After all, it is always right to familiarize yourself with the terrain first, and I don't know if there is a port in this place. When the time comes, don't rely on Xiongba's boat. Can't reach the shore. Bu Jingyan and Nifeng also agreed, so the three of them left the inn together, but Duan Ling didn't follow. The three of them walked along the way, because of the knightly attire and the weapons on their bodies, so the locals avoided them when they saw it. The town is really very close to the sea, but only a few miles away. But leading to the sea, there is only a narrow path, both sides are full of shrubs and mangroves. Xu Feng knew that there was no way, there must be no port, even if there is no road to the sea, how could there be a port? Xu Feng suddenly felt that he was too whimsical. It is strange that such a small town has a port, but he still decided to go to the seaside to have a look, maybe there will be unexpected gains. Coincidentally, today, August, Street, I have written chapter, haha, book friends, vote for a reward, I will be resurrected with full blood. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183. When everyone came to the beach, it turned out to be a pristine beach as they imagined. Where is there any port? Nifeng suddenly asked, what's over there? Xu Feng followed his voice and looked over. It turned out that there were 3 or 4 small fishing boats beside a large rock on the seashore. The three of them walked over and found that the fishing boats were in good condition. They should have been put here by fishermen. In the season, or the weather is bad, no fishermen go to sea. If there are fishing boats, it will be easy. We can just take these fishing boats and get on the big boat. Xu Feng looked around again, and found that there were mangroves growing on the coast, as well as various unknown small shrubs, and many birds were flying up and down where there are no ships on the sea. No other accidents were found, and the three of them returned to the inn. The next thing to do was to wait for everyone to arrive. At noon on the third day, also at noon, a tall and burly man came outside the door, holding a 5-foot-long strange sword in his hand. His aura was very strong. Xu Feng was the first seeing him. He even felt that the aura he exuded was comparable to that of Xiongba, but he had never seen this person before. This person didn't intend to communicate with him either. After he came in, he asked the waiter to open a room, and then went upstairs. In the next few days, his meal was also sent upstairs by the waiter, and Xu Feng didn't see him. He came down again. After asking Bu Jingyan and Nifeng, they didn't know this person either. Xu Feng already had a rough guess in his mind. After all, he had gathered 4 people and there were 3 left. On the 4th day, a monk walked into the small town. His arrival made the people in the small town feel a bit of novelty, and he looked like an eminent monk, so after he stayed in the inn, there were local monks every day. People come to him to do things. Nifeng and Bu Jingyan both knew this monk. It was Ye Xiner. The weapon he used was the Sin of Heaven, also known as Human Beast, the most powerful weapon in the world. If the person holding the weapon does not have enough internal strength, it will backfire on the person holding the weapon. However, Ye Xiner himself is a person of righteousness, and he can be regarded as an eminent Buddhist monk. Under Nifeng's introduction, Xu Feng can be regarded as befriending this hero of righteousness. In this way, there were only 2 remaining out of the 7, but the last remaining 2, everyone thought they would arrive soon, but they didn't expect to wait for several days, and finally arrived on the afternoon of the 5th day late. One of them, Xu Feng recognized at a glance, was Wu Ming mythology of Wulin, and the person who came with him was also tall and burly, and he was a bit older. While walking, he was arguing with Wu Ming and didn't know what to say. When Xu Feng and the others saw Wu Ming, they came out to greet Wu Ming. After all, Wu Ming was an old senior in Jianghu, and he had helped both Bu Jingyan and Nifeng. Nifeng went up and cupped his hands and said, "Senior Wu Ming, I didn't expect you to come in person." With a warm smile on Wu Ming's face, he said, "Yes, you are here too." He greeted everyone, then turned around and introduced the person next to him. "You probably don't know this one. Let me introduce you." For a moment, his name is Wang Ying. Nifeng cupped his hands and said, "Senior Huang Ying." But before he could finish this sentence, the old man, who was older than Wu Ming, just snorted, ignored Xu Feng and the others, pushed everyone away and walked into the shop. There was no surprise in Xu Feng's heart. He heard that Wang Ying was a martial idiot. In the original novel, he had been pestering Wu Ming to compete with him. Generally, such people have a strange temper. The weapon used by Wang Ying is Jingji, a knife. It is said that no one has been able to pull it out for 100 years after the knife was cast. Huang Ying pulled out with tenacious skill, achieving the unity of human and sword. So far, all 7 people have arrived, so the middle-aged man who came after Duan Lang, who has the aura of dominance, is probably Po Jun. The weapon used by Po Jun is called Greedy Wolf, which is regarded as a vicious sword. The wounds of this sword will continue to burst open. The 7 weapons and the 7 samurai have all been assembled. Everything is ready. The only thing left is the east wind, and the next thing is to wait for Xiongba's boat to arrive, and then we can set off. Xu Feng couldn't help feeling a little bit of anticipation and excitement in his heart. This was an action that consumed a lot of his heart and energy. It was his second time to enter Fengyuan world, all for the purpose of slaying the dragon and the dragon element. To be honest, he is also very curious about dragons. No one has ever seen the legendary dragon, and he is no exception. Although the people he convened are all the top experts in the world, if the dragon is really the legendary as for that kind of auspicious beast, it is an existence that flies into the sky and hides from the ground, calling the wind and calling the rain. Even in the world of Xiangsha, the dragon is one of the most powerful creatures. But no matter what, you have to give it a try, not to mention that since Di Shishin can slay dragons with 7 warriors, he can definitely do it himself, and he will respond immediately when the time comes. In a small inn in a remote town in the East China Sea, there lived a group of people with the highest military value in the Central Plains today, and most of these people had grievances with each other. One can imagine the atmosphere in this small inn. How is it? The only waiter in the store is naturally a good person. He can see that none of these people can be provoked by him, and any one of them can easily kill him. Therefore, he also uses his help to serve these old men every day. I tried my best to squeeze my smiling face desperately. Fortunately, although the atmosphere was weird, it reached a balance. After a few days, nothing happened in the end. Apart from thinking about the dragon slaying, Xu Feng was also practicing hard at other times. Over the years, no matter whether he was in another world or in this world, whenever he had time, he practiced. Having been to too many worlds and seeing too many life and death, Xu Feng understands a truth: only being strong is the foundation of everything and the capital of everything. In the anticipation of everyone, in the early morning of this day, Xu Feng had just finished his breakfast when he heard a cannon shot outside the door. He walked out of the inn, and there was a trace left by a colorful signal bomb in the sky in the distance. This is the signal from Xiongba to him. Xiongba has finally come, and everyone is waiting for him. Xu Feng returned to the inn. Just at this time the other people also heard the sound of the signal flare, and they all walked out of their rooms. Everyone, Lord Shuang has sent a signal. He has arrived. Let's clean up. Let's go now. Chapter 184 Boarding Show. After everyone gathered, they set off towards the beach together. Including Xu Feng, there were a total of 8 people, but they were divided into 5 groups when they walked. Xu Feng, Nifeng, Bu Jingyan and Wu Ming walk together, while the other 4 people keep their distance and guard against each other. Obviously, no one will trust others easily. After a while, everyone came to the edge of the beach, but at a glance, There was nothing on the shore. Huang Ying had a bad temper, and immediately started scolding. His grandma is a hero. Where is the boat? Are you kidding me? The others were also a little puzzled, but Xu Feng was not in a hurry. Sure enough, after waiting for a while, a ship's shadow appeared on the distant sea. It was small at first, and then gradually grew larger. This is a huge sea ship, about 30 feet high, and several tens of feet in length and width. It looks mighty and domineering, like a giant sea beast, and it really deserves to be ridden by Xiongba. But the boat stopped a dozen miles away from the shore, and could not go any further. Seeing this, Xu Feng said, "Everyone, go to the big stone. There are several fishing boats there. Let's go there by fishing boat. This boat is too big to touch the shore." Naturally, everyone went there together as promised, but there were 2 fishing boats. Xu Feng and the others naturally used one, but the other 4 did not like each other, and it would be a disaster if they wanted to make them a boat. That Huang Ying kicked the fishing boat directly into the sea, and then jumped onto the boat. He actually wanted to go on the boat alone. How could the other 3 people agree? Duanlang reacted the fastest. He stepped on tiptoe and followed Huang Ying onto the boat. Seeing him coming up, Huang Ying yelled, "Huang Mei, oh boy, how dare you grab the boat with your grandpa?" When the voice fell to the ground, he slashed out with a knife. The wind of the knife was icy, and the cold light was dazzling. It is indeed a shock. But Duanlang was not afraid at all. With a sneer at the corner of his mouth, he put his hand on the hilt of the sword, and Hulin came out of its sheath, like a startled rainbow, as fast as lightning, directly attacking Huang Ying's neck at a tricky angle. He didn't defend himself with this move, but attacked the enemy that must be saved. The Hulin sword was launched later but at a faster speed. If Huang Ying didn't accept the move, the 2 of them would probably die together. Huang Ying didn't expect that the young boy in front of him was so hot and fearless. Although he was a martial idiot, he was not an idiot. He knew that if he died with this boy, he would laugh out loud. So in the nick of time, his knife stopped sharply, only a few millimeters away from the top of Duanlang's head, and Duanlang on the other side also stopped his sword at the same time, only a hair's length away from Huang Ying's throat. The 2 confronted each other for a while, each putting away their weapons. The fight between the 2 of them allowed each of them to figure out the details, knowing that none of these people is easy to mess with, so the remaining 2, Po Jun and Wei Kong, also boarded the boat and ignored each other safely. It is in response to that sentence that peace is achieved. Only by showing one's own strength, or knowing the opponent's strength, can a balance be reached. Xu Feng and the others had been on the other boat. During this process, they tacitly did not make a move or to make a sound. Seeing that the matter was resolved, they started rowing towards the big boat. After a while, I came to the foot of the big ship. When I got closer, I could feel the giant of the ship in front of me. The hull was more than 30 feet high, the draft was about 10 feet, and there were nearly 20 feet on the water. Much higher than ordinary city walls. However, with such a high hull, how to get on it was a problem. After a while, a rope hung down from the bow. Obviously they were asked to climb up along the ropes, but all the people present were the top martial arts masters, who would like to climb up like ordinary people, not to mention there are other people watching from below. Not to make people laugh out loud. But without climbing the rope, what better way to get there? Use light work. Everyone was evaluating in their hearts whether their lightness could leap over the 20-foot-high boat. For a while, no one made a move first, and everyone stood still on the boat. Xu Feng felt amused in his heart. Seeing that no one was moving, he took a step forward and said, "Seniors, since everyone is giving in, how about letting the boy go up first? Don't make Chief Shuang wait in a hurry." Naturally, the others had no objection. Some of them wished that he would come to the muddy water, and some wanted to learn from others. But when they saw Xu Feng's method, they were all dumbfounded. Xu Feng kicked his legs, grabbed the rope with both hands, and then stepped on the hull of the boat, climbing up step by step. Although the speed is not too slow, it is indeed the most common method. Even ordinary people who have never learned martial arts can do it. After Xu Feng climbed up, he didn't have time to care what other people thought. He actually did it this way on purpose. With his current cultivation skills, he can directly fly into the air, not to mention the distance of 20 feet, but he is unwilling to use it. One must know how to hide one's clumsiness and keep one's trump card. With Xu Feng's first start, Nifeng and Bu Jingai and Wu Ming followed Xu Feng's example and climbed onto the boat, but their posture was much more graceful and their speed was much faster. They obviously don't care about the reputation of being fearless in the competition. The remaining 4 people looked at each other in blank dismay. Po Jun was the first to rush forward. He didn't climb the rope, but directly jumped more than 10 feet high. What is rare is that the boat under his feet didn't shake greatly. When he reached more than 10 feet, the power of this jump was exhausted, and his figure was about to fall, and then he slapped his palm into the air behind him. The air produced a huge explosion, and his figure climbed again. In this way, he clapped 3 palms in total and boarded the bow. His hand can be said to be very beautiful, and it can be seen from it that his skill is well deserved. And then Huang Ying also roared, imitating the routine of breaking the army, and rose to the top of the boat in the same way. Duan Lang snorted, and didn't bother to copy other people's methods. He also kicked one leg to rise more than 10 feet, and then when his body was about to fall, he quickly pulled the rope with his hand, and with the help of pulling force, he quickly climbed up. Next, also to the bow. Wei Kong was left. He was worthy of being a monk, and he didn't have the heart to fight, so he was the last one to get on the boat, and he used the same method of climbing ropes as honestly as Xu Feng. Everyone is a master, but when a group of masters get together, sometimes there may be counterproductive effects, because everyone is arrogant, not convinced by each other, there is no cooperation with each other, and even internal friction. So for masters, it is not easy to superimpose them. Xu Feng was a little worried. Among these people, except for Nai Feng and Bu Jingyan, there was no possibility of cooperation among these people. Will the dragon slaying be successful then? Chapter 185 Duel for My Girlfriend. After everyone boarded the boat, a man with silver hair but a bright red face came out from the inner cabin. It was Shuangba. As soon as he appeared, he let out his iconic laugh. Everyone is here. I am here to welcome you. Ho ha ho ha. The last smile was full of air, not at all like that of a person who has lost his martial arts. Surprised in Xu Feng's heart, he gathered his spiritual thoughts and scanned over, and suddenly found that Xiongba's skills had completely recovered, even better than before. His smile just now still hides a lot. Sure enough, Xu Feng turned his head to look at the others, and saw that they also had surprise on their faces, but they obviously couldn't guess that Xiongba's skill had been fully recovered. Xu Feng used his divine sense to check. Although Xiongba's martial arts is high, he still didn't notice it at all. Everyone followed Xiongba into the cabin. The entire interior cabin was decorated magnificently. The basic colors were all bright yellow. The tables were made of rosewood and pineapple wood, and there was a large round table in the center. At this time, the table was already filled with delicious food and wine, delicacies from mountains and seas, and there were more than a dozen maids serving the wine standing beside them, each with extraordinary looks. Xu Feng and Xiongba didn't communicate too much in front of everyone. They exchanged a look. Everyone, I specially arranged this banquet for everyone to clean up the dust. Please eat and drink to your heart's content. Everyone took their seats, and Nai Feng and Bu Jingyan didn't express anything special when they saw Xiongba, as if they hadn't seen him. And Xiongba obviously ignored his 2 former disciples on purpose. When he greeted everyone to eat, he always passed Feng Yun and them. Everyone maintained a tacit understanding. Wang Ying, Po Jun and Xiongba seemed like old friends, but the 3 of them were eating, drinking and talking lively. Duan Ling drank the wine by himself, took a maid to accompany the drink and sat in his arms directly, flirting with her as if no one was there. His hands wandered wantonly on the maid. Seeing Duan Lang's virtue, Nai Feng's eyes showed heartache. Xu Feng didn't care. This Duan Lang was affected by the Hualin sword, and he couldn't turn back. If the time comes to grab the dragon Yuan with him, he doesn't mind killing him directly. After a meal, everyone went back to their rooms to sleep, and among them, Duan Lang, Po Jun, and Huang Ying all took away a beautiful maid. Both Feng and Yun went back to their rooms to rest. This ship is really very big, like a moving palace, and every room is also extremely luxuriously decorated. Xu Feng was also led by the maid to his room. I don't know if his room was deliberately arranged by Xiongba, and it was far away from other people's rooms. After the maid took him into the room, she thoughtfully helped him undress, and then asked you if he needed to accompany him on the bed, and she asked in a coquettish manner. Xu Feng's heart skipped a few beats, but he still refused. After a while, there was a knock on the door, and Xu Feng had already guessed who it was. Please come in. Fenger, you did a good job this time. We have gathered everyone and weapons, and we are just one step away from a big event, haha. The person who came was Xiongba, and as soon as he came in, he straight to the point praised Xu Feng. That's right, it's thanks to your charisma, leader, that you can gather these people in such a short period of time. I don't think there's anyone else in the world who can do this except you. Xiongba smiled and stroked his beard, accepting Xu Feng's flattery. In fact, he also thought so in his heart. Only Xiongba has such great energy in this world. When he gets the Dragon Yuan, it will be just around the corner to reunify the world. By the way, Fenger, I have to work hard for you these days. I need you to point out the sailor's course. After all, only you know where the small island is. Well, I will leave this matter to me. Xu Feng already had a plan in mind, and it should be no problem to find the island where the dragon was. Okay, Fenger, take a good rest. If you need anything, just let me know. If you need a woman, don't be embarrassed to ask. I have quite a few stunning beauties on board this time. Although Xiongba prefers Xu Feng and wants to marry Yuelao to him, he also understands that a man cannot do without a woman, and as a hero, he is very open about this aspect. To him, a woman is just something outside of him, like clothes, which can be changed at any time. Thank you for the kindness of the leader, but Fenger doesn't need it for the time being. Okay, I'm sure I saw you right. It's her luck that Yuelao chose you. Okay, then I'll go first. Early the next morning, Xu Feng entered the captain's cabin and directed the ship's movement in person. After looking around at the equipment in the captain's cabin, he found that it was quite complete, including a compass and a compass. According to the live map in his mind, Xu Feng pointed out the approximate direction and let the captain operate it, and then adjusted the direction from time to time on the way. It's still very easy. According to estimates, it will take about a few days to arrive. The time on the boat passed quickly, and there was not much communication among the people, and the temperament of the masters was relatively withdrawn. The only exception may be Newfound. If he uses modern terms, he is a standard warm man. The beautiful maids on the ship all fell in love with him very quickly, and they had a great time playing with him. Their laughter can often be heard on the deck, and Newfound is also willing to play with them. Of course, he generally treats women as normal people and does not have any wrong thoughts about them. Although he warm, but still very specific to feelings. Besides, other people including Bu Jingyan stayed in the room all day, and the food was delivered to their room by the maid. That Duanlang spoiled a maid every night, and the commotion was so loud that the maid's cries could be heard from his room every night. As Newfound got acquainted with these maids, on the third night, when Duanling dragged another maid named Calligraphy into the room after dinner, that calligrapher struggled desperately. Newfound couldn't stand it any longer, and spoke up. Duanlang sneered and said, "What? You want to grab a woman from me? Do you still have this hobby? Let go of her. She is a human being, not a plaything. Since she is unwilling, you still force her. Duanlang, you have really changed. It's a joke. The leader Sheng has already said that the women on this boat can be enjoyed by us. Do you care? I've changed? Ha ha ha, so what's your business?" After finishing speaking, he grabbed the calligraphy and painting, and was about to rush her into the room. Seeing this, Newfound had no choice but to save him, and struck Duanlang's ribs with his palm. Duanlang was obviously prepared. He directly used the calligraphy and painting in his hand as a shield, and pushed it towards Newfound's palm. Newfound was in a hurry, so he had to change his move urgently, retracting his palm, and caught the calligraphy and painting by the way. However, Duanlang took advantage of Newfound's hands being occupied, and blatantly attacked. Newfound was holding a calligraphy and painting in his hands, and it was too late to fight back, so he had to try his best to avoid the vital points on his body. Seeing that this palm was about to succeed, Newfound would definitely be seriously injured if he hit it. Chapter 186. Xu Feng was watching and drinking a cup of tea. He believed that Newfound could solve it, but he didn't expect the situation to change too fast. More importantly, he knew that Duanlang was shameless, but he still underestimated his shamelessness degree. Seeing that Newfound was about to be injured, it was too late to rush over, so Xu Feng had no choice but to throw the teacup lid in his hand as a hidden weapon. The toss seemed ordinary, but in fact Xu Feng had already enhanced the power of his true essence. The speed of the cup cover directly exceeded the speed of sound, and it hit his palm before breaking the waves. The speed of the cup cover was too fast. Duanling didn't have time to react at all. He was hit squarely, which directly broke his palm. One must know that Duanlang attacked with all his strength, uneasy and kind. His palms were full of true energy, and a tea cover thrown by Xu Feng from 100 meters away still broke his defense and injured his hand. Throwing power. Ye Xiner took the opportunity to get out of Duanlang's attack range with his calligraphy and painting in his arms. Duanlang's hand was injured, so he stopped chasing him, but turned his head to look at Xu Feng, who was standing in the distance. Seeing Duanlang's gaze, Xu Feng in the distance just smiled slightly and raised the teacup in his hand. The gloomy light in Duanlang's eyes kept flickering, but in the end he entered his room without saying anything. He knew in his heart that this Xu Feng was definitely not simple, and he didn't seem to go out of the room very much these days, but he was also aware of the intimate relationship between Xiongba and Xu Feng, and Xu Feng often went in and out of the captain's room. From this information, it can be seen that Xu Feng is definitely not simple. It's definitely not the Xu Feng he knew when he was in Xiangxiahu. This is just a small twists and turns in the journey, and it passed quickly, and most of the time it was uneventful. Under Xu Feng's guidance, the ship was getting closer and closer to the target island. On this day, the ship has entered the deep sea, the wind and waves are huge, the clouds in the sky are very low, and the wind is howling. Although the sea ship was tall, it was like a piece of dust in the vast sea. The heavens and the earth began to show their mighty power. In the face of the divine power of nature, although the people on board were all masters among human beings, they all felt their own insignificance and helplessness. This helplessness is deeply hidden in the depths of human genes, because human beings have faced floods and various natural disasters since the moment they were born in this world. In these difficulties and challenges, human beings grow slowly, but they have never been defeated. In the turbulence of the wind and waves, the boat moved forward with difficulty, and suddenly a small dot faintly appeared in front of it. Slowly the point is getting bigger and bigger. It is just a small island. The people on the boat haven't seen the land for a long time. Seeing the small island at this time really feels very kind. When Xu Feng saw this small island, he knew it was the island where the dragon was. Because the island is so distinctive, like the teeth of a giant beast, it is exactly in line with the memory. There is absolutely no mistake, but the trouble is that the closer the island is, the stronger the wind, waves and rain, and even thunder falls from the sky. It was noon at this time, but the whole sky was completely dark, and it was already the same as night. Seeing this situation, Xu Feng was a little worried. Could this boat really hold up? All the masts on the ship were lowered, and everyone hid in the cabins. The entire ship is like a rocking chair, and the shaking angle can reach 180 degrees. Xu Feng and Xiongba stood together in the captain's cabin. The captain's cabin had several windows made of colored glass, allowing one to see the situation outside. Seeing through the window, Xu Feng felt that the situation was very bad. Xiongba also had a gloomy face, very unattractive. The captain is trying his best to control the direction. He actually wants to go back, but he knows exactly what kind of person Xiongba is. If he runs away at this time, he will only die. So I can only grit my teeth and hold on. After all, there may be a chance of survival after fighting the storm. The boat resisted the storm tenaciously and approached the small island. Every time the boat thought it was about to capsize, but in the end it was always able to restore its balance. In this way, without any danger, the island is getting closer and closer. Finally, the ship finally entered the range of the small island, and then all the storms and thunder disappeared instantly, and the sky was restored. It is only a few kilometers away from the beach of the small island, and the sea is calm and calm. The boat sailed to a place a few hundred meters away from the island, and everyone sat in a small boat, and then boarded the island one by one. The maids and the crew stayed on board. Together with Xiongba, a group of 9 people set foot on this unnamed island. The island is 5 or 6 kilometers long from east to west, and more than 10 kilometers long from north to south, so its area is not small. All the tall trees grow on the island, which feels like a virgin forest and is lush. Everyone, hard work pays off. We finally landed on this island successfully. Since this island has no name yet, Xiongba, will give it a name. It will be called Long Island. Xu Feng secretly laughed, thinking that the name of Xiongba is really simple and rude. Okay, now that we have successfully landed on Long Island, I believe everyone knows what to do next. I don't need to repeat the purpose of calling everyone here this time. Now let's go to Long Island location. No one spoke, everyone had their own thoughts, and everything ahead was unknown. The ancient trees are towering, but with Huang Ying in front holding Jingji and cutting the road, it is not too easy. Xu Feng felt something was wrong. He felt as if he had forgotten an important thing. Could it really be so easy to find where the dragon is? What have you forgotten or neglected? It's a pity that I really can't remember what happened in my head, so it's hard to remind others, but I silently raised my vigilance, released my spiritual thoughts, and everything within 10 meters away from me is clear. Maybe it was about seeing the dragon. Everyone was more excited. Huangying opened the way more and more smoothly, and the speed was getting faster and faster. Dragon. The woods are dense with weeds, dark and damp, although there is a road opened by Huangying, but every time you step down, you will still be deeply sunk in the humus, which is formed by the rotting leaves over the years. Moreover, through divine thoughts, Xu Feng was able to observe everything within a radius of 10 meters. He found that it was indeed a rainforest, and there were many types of creatures in it, and from their shapes, it could be seen that most of them were highly poisonous. Period. If ordinary people stray into this island by mistake, they will definitely not be able to walk 3 steps in this rainforest. Fortunately, everyone on this trip is a master of martial arts, and those poisonous insects and beasts are no longer a threat to Xiongba at this level. But when everyone's vigilance was relaxed, suddenly an arrow flew towards Wang Ying's right hand holding the knife. Chapter 187. Wang Ying was concentrating on opening the way, but he didn't expect an attack, but he was also an old man, so he reacted quickly, and blocked the arrow with a quick turn of the knife. But this was just the beginning. Following that arrow, followed by a rain of arrows overwhelming the sky. Everyone panicked and took up weapons to defend themselves. Xu Feng's weapon is the Dementor, which he never took out, and the Longquan sword, which was originally a conventional weapon, was also smashed to pieces in the last duel with Hokulin. So facing the rain of arrows, he had no choice but to catch the arrows with both hands, or dodge with his body skills. Seeing this, Ye Feng, who was next to him, took the initiative to expand his saber circle, and Zhu Ein's saber danced, forming an airtight protective cover, and no arrows could be shot in. The rain of arrows poured down for a while, probably because it had no effect, and finally disappeared slowly. Shuangba said, "It seems that there are still people living on this island, let's be careful." Xu Feng's heart moved, and he finally understood what he had overlooked or forgotten, that is, there were people on this island. He completely remembered that there was a group of people living on the island. They called themselves the Dragon Guard Clan, the Shui Clan, and they were dedicated to guarding dragons. The dragon is on this island, and they regard it as their totem and holy beast, and they worship it very much. So if my group of people wanted to slay the dragon, they would definitely be stopped by this group of people. In the original book, it seems that in the end the Shui tribe was directly wiped out by the dragon slayers. Xu Feng thought that he might not be spared today, but there was no need to exterminate the clan. If they were determined to stop them, they could just beat all their young men to the ground. After the rain of arrows, everything returned to calm. Everyone raised their vigilance and moved forward cautiously again. On the road ahead, they encountered various obstacles, sometimes attacked by poisonous snakes, and sometimes various annoying traps. This complex rainforest environment provided good cover for the attackers. From the beginning to the end, Xu Feng and the others didn't see a trace of the Shui people. However, Xu Feng himself sensed them through his divine sense. There were not many people on the other side, only about 20 people, and they were all middle-aged men with primitive attire. The traps along the way, if it is an ordinary martial arts master, may also be caught. After all, it is too difficult to guard against. It's a pity that all the people present are good people, and their martial arts are more perverted than the other, so they are all safe and sound in the face of these. The island was only that big, and soon everyone walked out of the rainforest and came to the middle of the island. There is a hill in the middle of the island, about a few hundred meters high, and there are some simple houses at the foot of the hill. At this time, there are about 100 people standing in front of these houses. All of them are strong adult men. Some of them hold bows and arrows in their hands, and some hold homemade grass. The clothes on their bodies are a simple combination of animal skins and leaves. Most of the places are naked. Seeing them, Xu Feng felt very similar to those Indian tribes in the Amazon forest on the modern Earth. There are so many of them, and they all have a look of death on their faces, because they probably understand in their hearts that although the number of these people in front of them is small, there are so many traps, insects, snakes and beasts along the way just now. These people did not lose a scent. They knew it in their hearts, so the men of the whole clan were dispatched. Interesting, what do these natives want? Seeing from their appearance, they regard us as enemies. Wang Ying laughed. Shuangba took a step forward and said, "Everyone, we came to the island only for the dragon. Do you know if there are dragons on this island?" But those natives still stared at them without saying a word. I don't know if it was because they didn't understand, or because they kept quiet on purpose, but the two sides were at a stalemate. Guangzhou, talk nonsense with them, just kill them, dare to block our way. As Duanlang said, he drew out the Huolin sword with a bang, and was ready to kill. His face was full of excitement. He was indeed affected by the Huolin sword. It was his last thought to encounter this kind of killing like. No, they are innocent, we are only here for the dragon, why should we hurt more lives? Nifeng was the one who stopped him. Xu Feng watched from the side, feeling a little funny in his heart. Nifeng and Duanlang are like the yin and yang of Tai Chi, one south and one north, and their personalities are completely opposite, like two mirrors of human nature. Oh, don't kill? Then can you get these idiots out of the way? Duanlang sneered. Nifeng was choked and had nothing to say, but he was not reconciled to this, and turned to look at the natives who regarded death as their home. He resolutely stepped forward and came to them step by step. Seeing him approaching, the natives bowed and raised their bows one after another, ready to attack at any time. But Nifeng didn't take any precautions as if he didn't see it. He walked 10 steps away from them and said slowly, "Everyone, I know that we have invaded your territory and offended your homeland. It's our fault. But we came from the Central Plains and came to your land because we heard that there are dragons here, and we hope to use the dragon's dragon element to help our Central Plains escape a catastrophe. In short, I'm sorry for the trouble you have caused by intruding rashly. I apologize to you here. Can you please make way for your clansmen? We really didn't mean to offend you. We just came to look for the dragon." After a long time, one of the natives finally stood out. His head was decorated with colorful feathers, and his figure was also tall and mighty, with a strong back and a strong waist. You came here to kill the dragon? Do you know that this dragon is the holy beast of our clan and our patron saint?" What he said was actually the Chinese of the Central Plains, but the accent was a bit strange, but he could barely understand it. When Nifeng heard that the dragon was actually their clan's guardian holy beast, he thought in his heart that if this was the case, it would be reasonable for them to stop his group. Knowing that he was being unreasonable, Nifeng was ashamed to speak any more. He cupped his hands at the person who stood up, and retreated. Duanlang saw Nifeng retreating back in a state of embarrassment, and said mockingly, "How is it? Is he accepting your kindness? To deal with these uncivilized people like them, just kill them." As Duanlang said, holding the Fire Lin sword, he walked towards the natives against Nifeng, and said as he walked, "You stupid pariahs, return your holy beasts, get out of the way if you are sensible, or you will all die. The Fire Lin is already very hungry and thirsty, it hasn't drunk fresh human blood for a long time." The person who stood up, the leader of the Shui clan, knew that the person in front of him would not let it go, so he waved his hand, and those clansmen who were on full alert launched an attack on Duanlang one after another. The rain of arrows was like locusts, and the shadow of spears was like a forest. These hundreds of people, acting in an orderly manner, surrounded Duanlang like a small army. Chapter 188 Humanoid Ferocious Beast. The broken wave, in the center of the siege, was submerged by the forest of arrows and spears. For a moment, everyone couldn't see clearly what was going on in the middle, and Shuangba didn't have anyone to help them. Although Wu Ming and Hua Kuang are righteous, they are not the Holy Mother of the White Lotus. They all know in their hearts that they want to slay the dragon, and conflict with this Dragon Guard clan is inevitable. And Nifeng just suffered a setback, and Bu Jingyan is also the type who has nothing to do with him, so everyone tacitly did not move. Xu Feng was also going to see the situation first, to see the details of these Dragon Guards. Duanlang was surrounded in the center, but he didn't panic. Instead his face was full of excitement, which was the excitement of a wolf meeting a flock of sheep. With his Fire Lin sword dancing, no arrow or spear can hurt him. On the contrary, in this process, his sword always took advantage of the gaps to attack, and every time a sword was struck, a member of the Dragon Guardian clan would fall down. The Dragon Guards are also very tenacious, knowing that they are no opponents, so they adopted the army's wheel tactics. If one fell, another one would immediately make up for it. After the clansmen died, they didn't flinch in any way, but their faces were full of determination to see death as home. The blood gradually flowed and infiltrated the ground under their feet. The Dragon Guards fell down and died one by one. The people behind them would quickly pull the wounded and dead to one side, and a hill of corpses was piled up on one side. And Yuelao, who was surrounded by the dragon guards, was also covered in blood, but the blood belonged to the dragon guards, not his. He didn't show the slightest sign of exhaustion at the moment. Instead, he became violent, and his whole face looked a little crazy. Xu Feng has figured out the strength of the dragon guards through watching. If Yuelao is allowed to do evil like this, the entire Shui tribe may really be wiped out. So he walked out decisively, walking towards the battle circle step by step. Although Xu Feng is not from this world, he came to this world only for that long yuan, but he didn't want his heart to become cold-blooded. At least at this moment, these people's disasters were caused by himself. He is not so selfless and fearless in his heart, but at least he can't be cold-blooded and bloodthirsty, and don't turn into cold stone. If that day comes, the essence of human beings may be lost. Just like Yuelao, who is fighting in the arena at this moment, who can say that he is still a person? It's just a beast with a human shape. The others were surprised when they saw Xu Feng go up. Xionba said, "Fenger, what are you doing? Come back." The corner of Nai Feng's mouth twitched, but he didn't speak. He didn't know if Xu Feng went up to help kill, or what. Xu Feng paused for a while, smiled at Xionba, indicating that it was okay, and then continued on his way. As he walked, he had already thought of the best way to deal with it. These dragon guards are very bloody. If you want to slay the dragon, you probably have to step over their corpses, or make them incapacitated, so they can't be stopped. If you don't want to kill people, then let them temporarily lose their ability to move. This is very simple for Xu Feng, just knock him unconscious. There are several acupuncture points on the human body. Under heavy blows, it is no problem to make people unconscious for a day. When the dragon guard saw Xu Feng approaching, they immediately separated a group of people to surround him, and the same rain of arrows and forest of spears greeted him. But Xu Feng, who was surrounded, suddenly disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was already behind the patriarch. The patriarch was originally at the back and was commanding and dispatching. He didn't expect this at all. He was shocked and wanted to resist, but he fell to the ground immediately. The people of the Shui tribe discovered that the patriarch was killed. Their eyes turned red, and they all rushed towards Xu Feng in a frenzy. But then Xu Feng's figure disappeared again. He walked through these people like a ray of wind. Where the wind blew, the dragon guards fell down like wheat blown by the wind. The wind passed, and no one stood still. All the people watching were surprised. They didn't expect this humble young man to be so good at martial arts, and all of them were veterans. However, none of them could clearly see Xu Feng's movements. And it is also unclear what method he used to bring down the dragon guards. Wang Ying has always thought that Xu Feng is Shangba's new apprentice, now facing Shangba with a smile. "Shangba, Wang Ying, really admire you for this. Your ability to teach apprentices is really good. You little apprentice uses what kind of martial arts is it? Tell us about it." Xionba laughed, didn't speak, just stroked his beard. In fact, the person who was the most surprised at the moment was himself. He didn't expect this kid to be so good at martial arts, and he had been asking him for martial arts lessons in the small bamboo forest. However, you are still too young. Since you are hiding, you have to hide until the end. At this moment, because you can't bear to kill these untouchables, you show your cards. I really don't know what to say about you. Xionba said sigh. Just when everyone on the field was surprised, the battle on the field was over, and all the remaining Shui people were brought down by Xu Feng alone, leaving no one left. Apart from Xu Feng and Yuelao, there was no one standing on the field. Among the simple houses built of trees in the distance, the cries of women and children were suddenly heard. Xu Feng looked over, and could vaguely see some old and young women and children slowly coming out of the house. The women and children's faces were full of tears, and some of them couldn't help crying. Obviously, they thought their men were all dead in battle, so they wailed. When Yuelao saw them, he was about to step forward to kill them with a fire-lin sword, and he let out a roar like a wild beast. At this moment, after soaking in the blood, his mind was further lost. Seeing these women, children, his heart became even more murderous. But as soon as he took 2 steps, he found that there was a person in front of him, and it was Xu Feng. Xu Feng looked at Yuelao expressionlessly, without saying anything. When Yuelao saw Xu Feng, his mind had been dominated by animal nature at this moment, and he wanted to directly attack him. But because of the bestial nature, the beast's intuition is the most sensitive. he found that he was actually afraid. Facing this person in front of him, his instinct told him not to mess with him. The person in front of him felt like an abyss, like a natural enemy, seemingly invincible. Duan Lang's eyes were originally full of red, but now he and Xu Feng looked at each other for a while, and the red color slowly faded away, returning to normal human pupil color. He smiled evilly and said, "Hey, since you want to be a saint, then I will fulfill you, and spare the lives of these untouchables." As he said that, he turned around and left, but stopped after taking 2 steps. "But these old people and children, do you think that without men, can they survive on this island by their own ability? In the end, they will just die of starvation or killed by wild beasts." Xu Feng smiled and didn't speak, and walked towards Xiongba and the others, and finally tried his best to save them. At least he could feel better in his heart. Chapter 189. Are you a fucking dragon? After finishing the Dragon Guardian clan, those women and children were naturally no longer a threat. They passed the village where the Shui people lived and headed towards the mountain behind them. Although I don't know the specific location of the dragon, this mountain is the most likely place on the entire island, and since the dragon guards live at the foot of the mountain, it can be further explained that the dragon is on the mountain. It's strange to say that the rest of the island used to be a scene of tropical rainforest, with tall and dense trees, but on this mountain, only low shrubs grew, and most of the places were hard rocks. Look, bear. If you look down from the sky, you can actually find that the mountain is shaped like a half-buried egg, a huge stone egg. Everyone walked up the mountain, and it is said that the mountain is not small, and it is faster to search separately, but considering that if you encounter a dragon, it is too dangerous to be alone, so in the end, everyone went together and searched together. This will take more time, but it will be more secure. The long march of thousands of miles is just short of the last step. It is always right to be careful. I searched the front in this way, but there was no result. It was all bare stones, and there was no place where living things could hide at all. Then when everyone turned to the back of the mountain, they suddenly discovered that there was a very obvious stone cave halfway up the mountain. On a stone mountain that is either stones or shrubs, this cave can be said to be very conspicuous. The moment they saw the cave, everyone had an intuition in their hearts telling themselves, the dragon is inside. This is a magical induction, but it is very real. The dragon was right in front of them, and everyone couldn't hide their excitement. No one had seen the dragon before, and now the dragon was right in front of them, not to mention that Long Yuan had the legendary ability. But they didn't know the depth of the dragon's strength, so everyone didn't dare to be careless. They were cautious, slowed down their pace, and approached slowly. Walking about 100 meters away from the cave, Xu Feng signaled everyone to stop. At this time, the outside of the cave can be seen more clearly, but the cave is completely dark, and you can only see less than a few meters, and then there is a black hole inside. Xu Feng remembered that in the original book, dragons cannot enter the cave to fight. That would be beneficial to the dragon, but not conducive to the performance of everyone. The best way is to go into the hole and draw the dragon out. Dragons and snakes are also somewhat related. As the saying goes, if you lead a snake out of its hole and let the dragon leave its lair in its home field, everything will be much easier. Xu Feng shared his thoughts with everyone, and said tyrannically, "Fenger, what you said makes sense. Now it is basically certain that the dragon must be in this cave. Since it is decided to lead the dragon out, who is willing to take the initiative to ask for it?" For a while, no one spoke. Entering a hole to lure a dragon must be risky. Everyone present has their own ideas. Who is willing to do such a thankless task? I go. Nai Feng stood up, and Bu Jingyan also stood up. Although the two of them knew that the purpose of slaying the dragon this time must not be so simple, they were still prepared to do so. Seeing the two of them coming out, Xu Feng was not surprised. It was impossible to expect the other people to take action. But he didn't plan to add it, not because he didn't want to, but because it was the last moment, and he had to hold back and hold his breath. There are still many challenges waiting for him in the future, and he believes that with the power of Fengyan, there will be no danger in leading the dragon. Nobody had any objections, but Wu Ming stood up at the last moment. "I'll go with you." Fengyan and Yu nodded gratefully towards Wu Ming, and then the three of them walked towards the cave together. Watching them go away, Xu Feng began to think about his next plan. After the dragon comes out, the 7 weapons must be used together. Xiongba's martial arts has been fully recovered, but he has been hiding along the way, probably because he wants to pick peaches at the end. And although I showed some kung fu in the battle against the people of the Shui tribe just now, it was not my true level. Even if these people were guarded against me, they couldn't think of their true strength. There is no doubt about it, so the best way is to play the same level as the people of the Shui tribe just now when slaying the dragon, fish in troubled waters. Wait until the situation is most beneficial to you, and then go all out to capture the dragon you want. The other people are probably doing their own little calculations, and everyone wants to get some benefits from this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Xu Feng observed everyone secretly, and found that there was an inexplicable light in each person's eyes, and the scene was a bit weird for a while. The human heart is the most changeable and unfathomable thing in this world. And a person's heart is always driven by desire. The world is all for profit. Xu Feng was suddenly a little worried, so each had his own ghosts, and when the dragon came out later, could everyone cooperate well? It's really hard to say. Time passed by every minute and every second. People outside couldn't perceive what was going on in the cave, and there was not a single sound coming from inside. The people waiting outside were also very anxious, not knowing that the dragon would rush out from inside at that moment, so everyone was highly concentrated. If they were on guard for a long time, even experts would feel mentally exhausted. And no one knows the true strength of the dragon. If Fengai and Wuming and the others went in, would they be wiped out by the dragon immediately? Can only wait, everything can only be given to time. The only one who seemed more relaxed was Xu Feng. He still had confidence in Fengai. After all, they were also the protagonists of this world. In other words, Fengai and Yun are the children of luck in this world, and they have concentrated the essence of this world, so it is impossible for something to happen. After waiting for about half an hour, suddenly from the dark hole, there was a sound from far to near. This sound was like thunder, the sky was muffled by thunder, and the ground was shaking. The frequency was fast and exaggerated. Suddenly 3 figures flew out from the cave. It was Nifeng and the others. Everyone outside the cave had already picked up their weapons, and Xu Feng also temporarily took out an ordinary long sword from the storage space to deal with it temporarily. After Nifeng and the others returned to the team, they quickly turned around and faced the entrance of the cave. Their clothes are still intact, and there are no injuries on their bodies. It seems that this time leading the dragon was very successful. After everyone waits for the dragon to come out, divide up several people to quickly block the entrance of the cave, cut off its back path, and prevent it from retreating into the cave. A few seconds later, as the ground shook more and more violently, a huge creature suddenly rushed out of the dark hole. It is so strange and so tall that everyone is a little lost when they see it for the first time. And only Xu Feng, the moment he saw it, blurted out a dirty word, "Woxiao, what the hell does a dragon look like?" If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190 Tyrannosaurus. No wonder Xu Feng was so surprised, because the dragon that appeared in front of him was not the imagined Chinese dragon, but a dinosaur, and if he was not mistaken, it was still a Tyrannosaurus rex. Xu Feng looked at the Tyrannosaurus rex tens of meters high, with a large body area and a mouth full of fangs, and 10,000 desires rushed past him in his heart. I never thought it would be the one that was slaughtered. But when I think about it carefully in my mind, there is something wrong with thinking about it. It should be that I have always had a preconceived notion that it will be a Chinese dragon. But I vaguely remember that in the original manga, it seemed that the last one was slaughtered, as if it was really a dinosaur. Of course, Xiongba and the others were also quite surprised. After all, although none of them had seen a real dragon before, the image of a dragon as a totem of China has long been deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. But the surprise stayed in the hearts of everyone for a short moment. After all, the dragon in front of them had already attacked. The people present dispersed and surrounded the dragon. The Tyrannosaurus roared, and its feet pierced the ground, shaking the mountain for a while. After all, its body may weigh dozens or even hundreds of tons. Xu Feng was standing on its left side. The Tyrannosaurus looked around. For some reason, it chose Xu Feng, and rushed up with a roar. Woodgrass. Xu Feng was very speechless. Did the dragon have any grudges against him, or did he intuitively feel that he was the weakest and the best to bully? Although the Tyrannosaurus was huge in size, its speed was not slow at all. It took a few steps to reach Xu Feng, and with a flick of its tail, it drew towards Xu Feng directly. The speed of the tail was even more outrageously fast, like a giant tree with a circumference of several feet swept across. Xu Feng could be sure with just one look, although this dragon was a Tyrannosaurus rather than the legendary Chinese dragon, who would be so small because of this? Watching it, it's absolutely to die for is ugly. As far as the power of its tail is concerned, if it hits it, even though the people present are all the strongest in this world, they will definitely burp directly, and they will be seriously injured if they don't die. Its tail is at least several tons, and with several tons of weight, coupled with a speed close to the speed of sound, if it hits it, it is stronger than any martial arts. As the saying goes, one force will reduce 10 meetings. It is so simple and rude. This Tyrannosaur is more than 10 meters tall, and everyone is like a small toy in front of it, like ants. Speaking of its tail sweeping, Xu Feng naturally dodged it easily. If the speed of the Tyrannosaur's tail is the speed of sound, Xu Feng's speed can reach 3 or 4 times the speed of sound, and this is not his limit. Period. The Tyrannosaurus missed the hit, and it was very witty to stop pestering Xu Feng, but quickly turned around and killed Po Jun next to him. This time it didn't use its tail, but directly swung it with its front paws. Unexpectedly, Po Jun didn't dodge, but became mad, pulled out Tan Lang, and directly accelerated to meet him. The two sides handed over, and the sound of gold and stone came out. Tan Lang, as a sharp weapon, did not hurt the Tyrannosaur's palm in the slightest. Instead, Po Jun was directly shaken by the Tyrannosaur's palm and flew away, and he spat out a mouthful of blood when he was in the air. All the people present were taken aback. They didn't expect this huge monster to have such a strong defense. Xu Feng was also taken aback. It seems that it is really not easy to deal with this Tyrannosaur. Thinking about it carefully, it makes sense. The proportion of people like me is the same as it. Imagine that the normal height of human beings is more than 1 meter to 2 meters, and the weight is only about, kilograms. But this Tyrannosaur is at least 10 meters tall, 4 or 5 stories high, and it weighs at least 100 tons. No matter how you look at it, the people present and it are not on the same heavy weight and order of magnitude. When the gap is too large, even if it does some damage, it will be difficult to knock it down. Can you imagine a group of ants biting you? Can it really hurt you? Let's go together, don't let it take the initiative. Let the Tyrannosaurus attack twice, and everyone has seen its strength, so they did not wait any longer and launched attacks one after another. Everyone drew their weapons and attacked simultaneously. The Tyrannosaurus didn't react for a while, and it was actually impossible for it to hide. After all, it was too big. However, after a bang, only a few small wounds were left on the Tyrannosaurus. Instead, taking advantage of this time, it flicked its tail again and swept out, causing everyone to dodge in a hurry. Huang Ying was a little slower to dodge, forced by its aura, and felt his chest suddenly gasping for breath. How do you fight this? We guys, can we really do it? Wang Ying said angrily. Standing by the side, Xiongba didn't make a move. Now he was standing by the side to see the situation on the field clearly. As a generation of heroes, he is still very good at analyzing these tactics. At this moment, he saw that if he was tough with this dragon, even if there were 7 masters present, he would not be able to take advantage of it, and it was very likely that he would be defeated one by one. Then the only option is not to confront it head-on, but to use the advantages of everyone's stature to fight a war of attrition with it. Although the elephant is big, sometimes it may not be able to deal with a few flies. Although flies and ants are small, they can sometimes shake elephants. Everyone used a war of attrition to continuously blast it to exhaust it. Xu Feng and Xiongba also thought the same thing, and the people present heard it and knew that there was only one way at present, and they could only fight a war of attrition with this beast. So in the following time, everyone continued to harass and attack, and greeted the weak places on its body with swords and swords. Xu Feng suddenly understood why it was necessary to gather all 7 weapons and 7 warriors to slay the dragon, because the Tyrannosaur's armor defense was really too high. In this world, in the era of cold weapons, ordinary swords really can't hurt it at all. Only these top-level weapons can pierce its defense without being damaged. In addition, 7 warriors are required, naturally, because even if ordinary people have 7 weapons, there is nothing they can do about this Tyrannosaurus. Strictly speaking, 7 weapons are not necessary, but the more the better. There may be rumors spreading everywhere, or it may be a minimum estimate based on the strength of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. 7 weapons is the minimum, the more definitely dragon slaying is easier. The 7 most powerful people in the world hold the 7 most powerful weapons in the world to challenge this giant dragon left over from the ancient times. In fact, there is a sense of beauty, a sense of primitive power, a sense of heroism that humans have when they face nature and creatures stronger than themselves. Xu Feng didn't know why these thoughts suddenly popped up in his heart, but really, these thoughts couldn't stop popping up in his mind. The eyes suddenly became a little hot, not because of the action in front of him, but because of the tenacity and wisdom of human beings in the face of the unknown and powerful enemies. From ancient times to the present, human beings have become the highest and most intelligent creatures in the world. Nothing happens naturally. Human beings have gone through arduous struggles and various trials. In ancient times, who can be sure that nothing similar happened? Chapter 191, Long Yuan is present. Xu Feng thought of going to a museum when he was in college, and saw an ancient mural, which showed a group of humans wearing animal skins, holding self-made spears, hunting mammoths much bigger than himself. The feeling he had when he saw the mural was so similar to the scene in front of him. After this kind of attrition battle, the effect was obvious. Everyone present had good lightness skills. Although the Tyrannosaurus was furious and kept sweeping its tail, it didn't hide a single hide after that. On the contrary, the bushes on the side were all swept away by its tail, and an open space with a radius of, meters was cleared around it, and there were even cracks in some places. You can imagine how terrifying the whipping force of its tail is. As time passed by every minute and every second, the speed of the Tyrannosaurus obviously slowed down. It was like a trapped beast, its eyes slowly turned red, and it kept roaring. The wounds on his body were constantly accumulating. Although each wound was small, the accumulation was already terrifying. The original skin color of the Tyrannosaurus was that kind of earthy blue, but now the skin is gradually covered with red blood, and it has turned into a red Tyrannosaurus. This makes it look more ferocious and more ferocious. Everyone, be careful, it's almost dying, so prevent its dying counterattack. Ants shake elephants. As long as you have patience, you can succeed in the end. Xu Feng understood that what he had to do now was to continue dragging, so that the Tyrannosaurus' physical strength would be further drained. But he also has another calculation in his mind, that is, since the dragon is not a legendary Chinese dragon, what will the last dragon Yuan look like? What form will it appear in? And the Tyrannosaurus is about to die, and everyone will definitely move. The more this time, the more dangerous it is, and we must not relax our vigilance at all. The blood-red Tyrannosaurus was probably also aware of its passivity and the cunning of the group of humans in front of it. It suddenly roared, and the speed of its tail suddenly increased sharply. Continuously pumping towards everyone, after such a long time of consumption, everyone's physical strength has actually decreased a lot. Such a sudden critical attack, caught off guard, everyone hurriedly avoided. At this moment, when everyone was in a hurry, there was a loophole in the encirclement, and the Tyrannosaurus suddenly accelerated and ran towards the entrance of the cave, and it was about to escape. Quick, stop it, don't let it go back into the hole. Po Jun, Wang Ying, and Wu Ming were the closest to it, and immediately rushed to its front, and then the 3 of them flew up together, stabbing its eyes with their swords. To stop such a huge dragon, the only way to temporarily stop it is to attack its eyes. Sure enough, the Tyrannosaurus had to lower its head, but it still didn't stop, wanting to just crash into it. But how could the 3 of them let it succeed? The sword was like a gangrene attached to the bone. As it lowered its head, it also fell together, always facing its eyes. The Tyrannosaurus had no choice but to turn around, swung its tail out, and then ran in another direction without looking back. It actually found that it couldn't go back home, so it chose a random direction to escape. Several other people immediately chased after it, and it was only the last step. The Tyrannosaurus rushed left and right, which showed that it was really close to the end of its rope. It's a pity that although the Tyrannosaurus is tall and has long legs, its speed is still not as fast as everyone else's. Feng and the others easily caught up with it, constantly falling on it, and constantly adding new wounds to its body. The Tyrannosaurus then chose several directions to escape, but the result was still the same. It was useless, and it was completely impossible to escape. Maybe the Tyrannosaurus didn't even think about it. How could he, a carnivore in the top of the food chain, be disgusted by this group of little flies? It kept getting angry, its tail kept sweeping, many cracks appeared on the ground, many large stones on the surrounding mountains were directly split by its tail, and the stones flew horizontally. It was like landslides and ground cracks, but this was just the last dying struggle. The more it was like this, the faster its physical strength would be consumed, and the more blood would ooze from the wound on its body. The battlefield has moved from the original cave to the foot of the mountain, and the Tyrannosaurus rushed all the way to the rainforest on the island. Those towering trees fell one after another under its impact, and it was simply more efficient than ordinary bulldozers. And Xu Feng and the others were not far behind it. This was the last moment of the trapped beast. Sure enough, the Tyrannosaurus kept colliding, falling countless trees along the way, but the speed became slower and slower, and finally fell when it was about 500 meters away from the sea. Everyone hurriedly followed, dispersed, and surrounded it again. The fallen Tyrannosaurus was like a small mountain of meat. Although it fell, it was not dead yet. Its chest was heaving and falling, and its eyes were wide open, staring at the people in front of it full of hatred and unwillingness. It can be said that there is really not a piece of good meat on its body at this time. It is all wounds, all over the body, and blood is flowing everywhere. On the ground where it is lying, a small stream of blood is slowly leaching. Although the eyes of the Tyrannosaurus were full of hatred, at this moment it was completely helpless. It couldn't even stand up. It knew that its life had come to an end. The breath of the Tyrannosaurus is gradually weakening, and the life is slowly passing away. And the people around kept still and didn't take any action, because no one wanted to take any risks. Besides, they didn't know what that dragon Yuan looked like or where it was, so they were all prepared to wait and see what happened. After about an hour like this, the Tyrannosaurus' heartbeat became slower and slower, and suddenly without warning, a ball of glowing balls came out of its mouth. The light is too dazzling, especially after such a long battle. It is now close to evening. This light ball flying out of the Tyrannosaurus's mouth is like a small sun, directly illuminating the whole world. And all the people waiting at the side were waiting for the last moment. The moment Long Yuan appeared, everyone's body was in a riot. Duanlang is the closest to the Tyrannosaurus Rex's mouth, so when Long Yuan flew out, he had the most advantage. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the flying Long Yuan. It was too late for the others to see, and Long Yuan was about to fall into Duanlang's hands. Wang Ying roared anxiously, "Boy, what are you doing?" As he said that, he directly threw the Jingji in his hand towards Duanlang. Duanlang had to stop and dodge. Just because of this delay, all the people arrived at the same time. Wang Ying was the fastest, grabbing Long Yuan and laughing loudly, "The Long Yuan is mine now." But before he finished speaking, he was slapped hard on the back by someone who was Pojun. This time, Wang Ying vomited blood from the blow, and the dragon Yuan in his hand flew out. Duanlang seized the opportunity to snatch it, and Nifengbu surprised them on the other side. Naturally, he knew that no matter what, Long Yuan could not fall into the hands of these wicked people. As soon as Nifeng and Bu Jingyan dispersed, they directly surrounded Duanlang in the center. Duanlang, hand over Long Yuan. Chapter 192. Holding the dragon Yuan in his hand, Duanlang laughed loudly, "Let me hand over the dragon Yuan? You are dreaming." As he said that, he didn't like to fight, and he just moved towards the beach, obviously wanting to escape. But Bu Jingyan happened to be on the other side of the sea, so how could he let him escape easily? Rushed forward and pushed out with a palm. This palm was like a torrential ocean wave, continuous and unstoppable, making people breathless. Duanlang was blocked, so he had to exchange a palm with Bu Jingyan. The two completed more than a dozen moves in the blink of an eye. Taking advantage of this time, other people had already surrounded him. Duanlang held the dragon Yuan in his hand, and naturally became the target of the fire. Everyone greeted him. In this way, Duanlang was under the enemy's back and forth. Although he was good at martial arts, how could he withstand the siege of other people? And he received several blows solidly on his body in the blink of an eye, so he had no choice but to throw the dragon Yuan out of his hand. The crowd followed Long Yuan to rob again. Then the dragon Yuan was in the hands of Wei Kong again. It is said that Wei Kong did not snatch it deliberately, but it happened that Duanlang threw it closer to him. Seeing Wei Kong's hand, Nifeng and Bu Jingyan slowed down and stopped snatching it. After all, Wei Kong is also a master of a generation, and it is impossible to monopolize the dragon Yuan like Duanlang. But Pojun and Wang Ying didn't see it that way. They still surrounded him and started fighting without saying a word. Wei Kong was 1 against 2, and was soon injured, but his kung fu was more defensive, so he was able to withstand it. Seeing Wei's empty hand, Wu Ming also joined the battle, and said, "Don't fight anymore, you two, let's divide this dragon element equally. Why bother to fight again?" But Wang Ying and Po Jun are not willing to listen, especially Wang Ying. He is really a martial idiot. He has always wanted to compete with Wu Ming, and of course he will not let go of such a good opportunity at this moment, so he will fight against Wu Ming directly up. Nai Feng and Bu Jingyan saw that the situation on the field was already balanced, so they didn't add any more. And Zhuan Lang on one side was seriously injured in the siege just now, and he couldn't participate in the battle anymore. He sat cross-legged on the side to heal his injuries, and Long Yuan had no chance with him. Zai Ongba didn't do anything during this process, and stayed aside as a bystander, and Xu Feng was the same. So the current situation is still very strange, the final ownership of Long Yuan, and the balance of strength on the field. Xu Feng analyzed it quickly in his mind, and found that his chances of winning were still high. As long as the decisive battle between Huang Ying, Pao Jun, Wu Ming and Hua Kong was decided, the next thing would be easy. The situation on the court was still unclear for a while. Huang Ying and Wu Ming fought each other, while Pao Jun faced Hua Kong. They are all the top masters in the world, and they are all famous in the martial arts for a long time. It should be said that it is difficult to find such an evenly matched opponent, so they all tried their best. Their respective weapons are also the top in the world, and everything is the most luxurious configuration. If there is a person who has just started in martial arts at this moment, watching these two fights will definitely gain a lot, because it is so exciting and classic. The use of every trick, every evasion, and every temptation is a classic among classics. Xu Feng also watched with relish. Although his own martial arts are far superior to everyone present, he still has a lot to learn in terms of actual combat experience and some skills in facing the enemy. Moreover, Xu Feng also roughly judged in his heart that Wu Ming and others' martial arts, if judged by the level of Jade Immortal World, these people are almost at the level of the third level of taking, and in actual combat and the use of moves, it is even much stronger than the monks on the third floor of taking. The level of battle is similar, so it is difficult to make a quick decision. The competition between top experts is actually who makes mistakes first. In this kind of high-intensity battle, whoever makes mistakes first and who reveals his flaws first is not far from defeat. Period. The victory or defeat is usually within a hair's breadth, but before this flaw comes out, everyone's fights are actually testing, consuming, and waiting for the other party to make a mistake. Because no one has the strength to crush the opponent. After 300 moves, although Hua Kong's skills tend to be defensive, he is a monk after all, he has compassion in his heart, and often does not want to kill. But Po Jun didn't care about these things, and finally after a move, when Hua Kong held back his hand again, Po Jun caught the opening and punched Hua Kong's ribs directly. Hua Kong tried his best to shrink back with his chest, but he still couldn't completely counteract this move. He was hit like a dilapidated sandbag and flew far away. After landing, he rolled a few times and couldn't get up for a while. Nai Feng hurried up and said, "Senior Hua Kong, are you alright?" Hua Kong struggled to sit up, barely crossed his legs, and started to heal his injuries. No problem. Long Yuan thus entered Po Jun's hands, while Huang Ying and Wu Ming on the other side hadn't decided the winner yet, and the two were fighting vigorously, as if they didn't care about Long Yuan's affairs at all. Po Jun got the Long Yuan and walked towards Zai Ongba. Zai Ongba couldn't help showing a trace of excitement on his face. He had already reached a secret agreement with Po Jun earlier. Po Jun helped him snatch the Dragon Yuan. He just wanted to have one more person to help, but he didn't expect it to be beyond his expectations. No need, he snatched Long Yuan by breaking the army by himself. Wait! A cold voice came out, and the voice landed. A figure was blocked between Po Jun and Shangba. It was Bu Jingyan. Hand over the Dragon Yuan. Bu Jingyan's eyes were cold and his face was expressionless. Holding the Dragon Yuan in his hand, Po Jun sneered and said, "Young boy, speak out loud, I will teach you a lesson today." He put Long Yuan in his arms, then held Tanlang in his hand, and rushed towards Bu Jingyan. Bu Jingyan held a peerless sword in his hand. His aura was terrifying. He stood in place and waited for Po Jun's charge. The two exchanged hands in the blink of an eye, and the fight was inseparable again. However, the battle between Po Jun and Hua Kong just now actually consumed a lot of physical strength, and Bu Jingyan, although young, is a leader among the younger generation, and his skills are actually not weaker than Po Jun. In addition, he played in a good condition, so he had the upper hand from the beginning, and Po Jun fell into passive position everywhere. Moreover, the peerless sword has an advantage over the greedy wolf who breaks the army. Although the 7 weapons are some of the top weapons in the world, it does not mean that there are no advantages or disadvantages among them. The peerless sword can be said to be the absolute king among them. As the sword forging villa, it was originally cast for the purpose of slaughtering killing. Weapons plus good condition, these have a great impact in the duel. After dozens of moves, Po Jun retreated steadily. At this moment, Xiangba made a move. If you have suggestions, welcome to leave a message in the book review area. The update has gradually stabilized. Have you found out? 2 chapters are updated steadily every day. Thank you friends who have never left. Chapter 193 Who is the Oriole? Seeing that Po Jun was no match, Xiangba decided to make a move. He knew that if Long Yuan fell into Bu Jingyan's hands, it would be troublesome to snatch it back. Because of the current situation on the field, the two lost their fighting power. Wu Ming and Huang Ying couldn't get away from the fight, and Nifeng and Bu Jingyan were left. Both of them were his deadly enemies. Although his skill has recovered now, and his skill has actually improved a lot compared to before he abolished his martial arts, but if Feng Guiyan and Yun join forces, his situation is still not good. So after some analysis in his mind, Xiangba decisively chose to make a move while Long Yuan was still on Po Jun. He was like a fierce tiger that had been watching for a long time. He was extremely quick when he made a move, and the timing of his choice was also very mysterious. Basically no one reacted to it. Xiongba didn't use a weapon, but directly used his special skill of 3-point return to vitality, and condensed an energy ball in his palm, which contained very terrifying power. His movement is as agile as a tiger. He bullied Jinjin Yun's side in an instant, and then pushed him out with a single palm. It was too late for Bu Jingyan to dodge. Everything happened too fast. He had no choice but to turn the blade of his sword, and use the broad blade of the peerless sword to resist Xiongba's blow. But the whole person was still shocked and flew tens of meters away. Nifeng was watching the battle, but he didn't expect Xiangba to riot suddenly. In fact, except for Xu Feng, everyone thought that Xiongba's martial arts hadn't recovered yet. When he was slaying the dragon just now, Xiongba had never made a move from the beginning to the end. I have to say that he hit it very well and almost deceived everyone. Nifeng's figure flashed past, caught Bu Jingyan before he landed, and then stepped back 3 steps in succession to dissipate the force. Fortunately, the blade of the peerless sword blocked most of the power, and Bu Jingyan was only slightly injured. Over there, Xiongba took Long Yuan from Po Jun's arms, lifted it up, laughed loudly and said, Long Yuan, I, Xiangba, finally got you. With you, no one can stop me from unifying the martial arts world. Dominance. His laughter came out endlessly, shaking the surrounding trees to rustle. After laughing, he looked at everyone on the field and said, You guys play slowly, the old man will go first. As he spoke, he moved and ran towards the beach, with Po Jun closely following behind him. Bu Jingyan was about to catch up, but his chest hurt and he couldn't lift it up, so he had to say to Nifeng who was supporting him, Junior brother Feng, leave me alone, go and stop Xiongba, we must not let Long Yuan fall on him hand. But senior brother, your injury. I'm fine, go. Bu Jingyan almost yelled, then turned to Xu Feng and said, Brother Xu Feng, please go and help, the dragon Yuan must not fall into the hands of Xiongba, if you want otherwise. Before he finished speaking, he coughed up a mouthful of blood. It seems that Xiongba's sneak attack still caused damage to his internal organs. But Xu Feng already understood what he meant, and without saying a word, he chased after Xiongba, and Nifeng had no choice but to let go of Bu Jingyan and follow Xu Feng. However, Xiongba had gone far away. Xu Feng knew something was wrong, so he stopped hiding his strength, unfolded at full speed, and immediately changed his figure, as if teleporting, and chased after Xiongba. Nifeng also tried his best to develop his lightness kung fu, but he was left far behind by Xu Feng. He looked at Xu Feng's back and was shocked. Although when he competed with Xu Feng, all 3 of his brothers lost. I gave it to him, but it wouldn't be so abnormal. On the other side, when Xu Feng spread out at full speed, although he started late, he still intercepted Xiongba on the beach. The two were confronting each other on the beach. At this time, on the distant sea, a round of red sun was about to sink, and the entire sea was illuminated by red ripples. Imprinted on people's faces, it is also red, and the setting sun is like blood, but that's it. Xiongba looked at Xu Feng and said, Fenger, why do you want to stop me? Guangzhu, I didn't want to stop you, but since getting the dragon Yuan is a joint effort, I think everyone should share the dragon yuan equally. I'm afraid it's inappropriate for you to monopolize it like this. Haha, Fenger, what nonsense are you talking about? How could I take it all to myself? Have you forgotten our agreement? I will definitely give you half of it. In the future, I will leave this world, this country and mountains to you, and you are Yuo. She is waiting for you. Come quickly, let's get on the boat together. When Xiongba said these words, his face was unexpectedly sincere. He was facing the sea, so the setting sun just shone on his face, and he really looked like a kind elder. Xu Feng looked at Xiongba, trying to find out his true thoughts from his eyes. Maybe Xiongba really wanted to marry Yuo to him, or did he really want to see himself as his successor? If I were an ordinary person in this world, I would definitely be tempted by such a temptation. But now, even if what Xiongba said is true, everything is unrealistic to me after all. The purpose of coming to this world is for long yuan. How could I stay here? I can only sigh. Master, Fenger, thank you for your great love. In fact, you have always been very good to me. Fenger actually doesn't want to disappoint your expectations. And you are Yuo. I am not worthy of her love. I'm sorry. As Xu Feng said, he sincerely bowed to Xiongba. No matter what, he felt guilty about Yuo after all, but I'm afraid he won't have the chance to see her again after he got a long yuan this time. Master, when you see Yuo, tell her for me that I, Xu Feng, are the ones who are sorry for her. Let her forget about me. Fenger, why are you saying such stupid things? Come on board with me and go back to the Central Plains. You go and talk to Yuo yourself. Xu Feng didn't want to say any more, and said directly, Master, Fenger offended. Then he shot directly. The figure disappeared from the spot like a ghost. The next moment he stood in front of Xiongba, and then he punched out without any surprise. This punch looked ordinary on the surface, without any fancy, and without any energy leakage. Even from the perspective of a bystander, one would think that this punch was made by someone who does not know martial arts. But only Xiongba, who faced the punch directly, knew its horror. He felt that if he was a tiger, then Xu Feng in front of him might be a giant dragon. Just like the Tyrannosaurus just now. No, it was even more terrifying than the Tyrannosaurus. There is no thought of fighting in my heart. I just want to escape. This is a call from instinct. Xiongba never dreamed of what all this was going on. Xu Feng had shown his martial arts before. He naturally noticed it. He even knew that Xu Feng must be hiding his strength, so he never underestimated Xu Feng's strength. In his heart, he has always considered Xu Feng and Bu Jingyan on the same level of strength. He even considered Xu Feng's betrayal. Although what he said was so emotional just now, if Xu Feng didn't cooperate, what he planned in his heart was to get rid of Xu Feng without mercy. After all, having Bu Jingyan and Nai Feng is enough to make him unlucky. If there is another Xu Feng in the future, even if he controls the world, he will feel very uncomfortable. After all, these three are too young, and they all have unlimited potential in the future of... But he counted everything, including Xu Feng's betrayal. But he didn't count that Xu Feng's hidden strength would be so terrifying. It made him despair. Chapter 194 One Punch Kill. In the blink of an eye, Xu Feng's palm had already reached Xiongba's eyes. Although Xiongba instinctively wanted to avoid it, his rationality overcame his instinct. He gathered all the power in his body and condensed it into a supersized energy ball. This move can be said to be the most powerful move of his three-point return to vitality. Xu Feng's silent punch met Xiongba's most powerful punch. At this time, Nai Feng had just rushed over, and happened to see Xiongba condense his strongest punch. He couldn't help but exclaimed, "Be careful, don't fight hard with him." Nai Feng saw Xiongba's strength from this punch, but Xu Feng's punch was mediocre. He was so anxious. Why did he have to be so tough with Xiongba? But the result was beyond his expectation, and also beyond the expectation of Po Zhen, who was watching the battle from the sidelines. When the two fists intersected, Xiongba's seemingly mighty punch disappeared the moment it touched Xu Feng. As for Xiongba himself, he was directly thrown back by Xu Feng's seemingly simple punch, and his body kept retreating, and he retreated dozens of meters before he could barely stop. But as he stopped, he spit out a mouthful of blood, and his whole face became sluggish. It could be seen that Xu Feng's punch, just one punch, had already caused serious internal injuries to Xiongba. On the other hand, Xu Feng stood where he was, without even moving the corner of his clothes, as if he was completely fine. Looking at this unbelievable result, Nai Feng would never have thought that Xu Feng would be so strong that he could defeat Xiongba with one move, and this was when Xiongba's skill was greatly improved compared to before. On the field, Xu Feng had a calm expression on his face, and he had already arrived in front of Xiongba, and slowly stretched out his hand and said, "Give me the Dragon Yuan, boss. You're really good at hiding." Xiongba said, spitting out some blood again, with a self-deprecating and wry smile all over his face, "Old man, I have nothing to say." As he spoke tremblingly, he took out the Dragon Yuan from his bosom. Its light was still so dazzling that people couldn't open their eyes. Xiongba stretched out his hand very full. His eyes were full of reluctance. He knew that as long as he handed over this Dragon Yuan, then he would be finished. Ambition and hegemony, without Longyun, everything is nothing but a castle in the air. There was a lot of reluctance and unwillingness in his heart, but he knew that he had no chance to resist. With that punch just now, he knew that he had been seriously injured, his internal organs were severely injured, and even if he could recover, his skill would be damaged. At this moment, any resistance is useless. Xu Feng didn't have time to pay attention to Xiongba's heart. Seeing that Xiongba seemed reluctant to hand over Longyun, he didn't show mercy, and took Longyun from Xiongba without mercy. Longyun is warm and moist in the hand, similar to jade, but it is warm, as if it is alive. Holding it, you can feel the terrifying energy contained in it. Xu Feng didn't have time to study it carefully, and with a direct thought, he took Long Yuan into the portable space. Xiongba saw the Dragon Yuan disappearing from Xu Feng's hands. His eyes were straightened, he opened his mouth slightly, and after a long time he slowly muttered, "My Dragon Yuan." After saying this, Xiongba, a generation of heroes, burst into tears like no one else. No one expected this. Xu Feng was also quite surprised. But Xiongba is not a beautiful little girl after all. Xu Feng is not so perverted that he has any pity for him, so naturally he will not comfort him. At this time, other people all arrived on the beach one after another. Duanlang clutched his chest. Bujingyan seemed to have recovered a lot from his injuries. Wuming held his arms, and Huangying looked decadent. It should be the final loser. Gave no name. After all, Wuming is worthy of being a martial artsmith. They were latecomers, completely unaware of what had happened, and when they arrived, they saw Xiongba crying like a child. Seeing that everyone had arrived, Xu Feng didn't want to cause trouble. Even though these people added together, they would not be his opponent. Yuo is the only regret. I am afraid that I will never come to this world again, and I will say goodbye to Yuo forever. Could she have imagined that parting would be forever? Will I ruin her life by doing this? Xu Feng was full of contradictions and doubts about himself. No one can be ruthless than grass and trees. After staying with Yuo for such a long time, and a person who loves you so sincerely, to be honest, even if there is no love, you will still be moved. But after all, I have to let down the beautiful woman, and I have to let down this period of time. I may never have a chance to repay it, so let myself bear it and keep going. Life is hard to be complete. Xu Feng can only comfort himself in this way. He called the system from his mind. To be honest, he hadn't heard the system's voice for a long time, and he hadn't actively looked for the system for a long time. He didn't forget the existence of the system, but he consciously didn't look for it and forced himself to reduce his dependence on it. I didn't expect this system to be very individual. If I don't look for it, it will never make a sound, as if it never existed. But Xu Feng's call, it responded immediately as if it had been on standby all the time. "Host, what can you do with me? My mission in this world has been completed. I'm going home. Send me back." Xu Feng said, looking at these people in front of him, thinking of saying goodbye forever. Nai Feng saw Xu Feng standing there without speaking after getting the Longyun, thinking that Xu Feng had also suffered some injuries, so he came over and asked concerned, "Brother Xu Feng, are you okay?" Xu Feng smiled slightly, and suddenly embraced Nai Feng forcefully, and hugged him forcefully. This was a farewell hug. Nai Feng didn't know what happened, but his body was stiff the whole time. "Senior Brother Feng, I'm leaving. It's a pleasure meeting you in this world. I will always remember you as a friend." "Brother Xu Feng, what nonsense are you talking about? Aren't you doing well? We can meet each other often in the future. If you don't mind, when we stop Zhuwushan from invading the Central Plains, you can take your little junior sister with you. Hide away with us." Xu Feng sighed, and patted Nai Feng's back lightly. He couldn't tell anyone here why. let go of Ye Feng, and then waved to Bu Jingyan in the distance, but Bu Jingyan looked blank, and also didn't know what Xu Feng meant. At the same time, in Xu Feng's mind, he had already given the system the order to return. Roger that. After the system answered, a cell phone shining with bright stars appeared in Xu Feng's sea of consciousness, and its entire screen displayed the entire galaxy, the endless galaxy. The galaxy rotates, space fluctuations suddenly occur between the sky and the earth, and the mutation occurs in an instant. Xu Feng's figure disappeared into the world, leaving only the astonished crowd. Chapter 195 The Villa. In the living room of a villa in Jiangcheng, the space fluctuated for a while, and when it stabilized, a person appeared. It was Xu Feng, who had returned from another world, stretched his waist. His body had actually adapted to this kind of shuttle, and there would no longer be any side effects. But how should I put it? Xu Feng still took a shower habitually, and took a nap. This sleep is his farewell to that world, so treat it as a dream. After waking up from the dream, he will return to his normal life, and let the people and things in that world sink to the deepest part of the lake of memory. Don't flip it lightly. The next morning, when Xu Feng was still asleep, he suddenly felt a cool thing wriggling and groping around his neck. He was drowsy in his sleep, and suddenly he was clever, and his body instinctively made a grappling, grabbed the thing with a backhand, and then swung it. Just as he was about to strike again, he suddenly heard a familiar girl's exclamation, "Ah!" The voice was very embarrassing and frightening. Xu Feng slowly woke up at this time. His eyes gradually became in focus, rubbed twice, and found that there was a delicate and sweet face in front of him. At this moment, he was holding her hand with one hand. No wonder it was so natural. I actually did it myself. And this girl is none other than Tang Shining. Tang Shining was ashamed and annoyed. Her heart was pounding wildly, and there were some inexplicable things mixed in. She didn't know what was wrong with herself. Suddenly something embarrassing happened. Tang Shining only, her face turned red, she exclaimed. Xu Feng was too embarrassed to express it, and murmured, "Shining, I didn't do it on purpose, it's really, you. What nonsense are you talking about?" Tang Shining said, pushing Xu Feng's chest with his fist, "You still don't come down." Oh. Xu Feng finally came to his senses, got up quickly, and turned aside. But he still didn't get up, but propped his head on his hands, looked at Tang Shining and said, "Why did you come to me so early in the morning?" After Xu Feng turned to the side, Tang Shining covered her face with her hands, not looking directly at Xu Feng. I have a hunch that you're back, can't you? That's why I came here to have a look. I didn't expect you. I really came back. I was originally yours. Who knew you? I'm wronged. How did I know it was you? I thought it was a thief, and that cold touch almost didn't scare me to death." Xu Feng deliberately exaggerated. He understood that Tang Shining should have happened to bump into him. He gave her the key to this villa. Anyway, I'm ignoring you, a bad guy. Tang Shining said as if she was angry. She pulled the glass and covered her face. Xu Feng watched from the side with a funny face. Why is this girl so cute? She got angry and buried herself. From time to time, a girl came from his nose. Xu Feng felt a little itchy at the end of his nose. He stretched out his hand to touch it, and found that it was a strand of hair, which should have fallen from Tang Shining's head. I couldn't help taking it to my nose and sniffing it. Her hair was also full of her smell. The smell was fresh and pleasant, like lilies after the rain. Although Tang Shining covered her head, her ears were still leaking out. At this time, a ray of sunlight came in from the window. Through the light, one could see her small and delicate ears. The ears were like transparent white jade. They were congested because of shyness. They looked red, and even the tiny capillaries were clearly visible. Xu Feng could even hear the sound of blood flowing, as well as the beating of Tang Shining's heart. In fact, thinking about it carefully, I have been in another world for so long, and I have always kept myself clean. After all, he is a vigorous young man, and even he has many times more blood than ordinary people. After all, through cultivation, his life level has been improved. It has always been like this for a long time, but now it is lying in front of my eyes, and it is so cute. In fact, I have long been unaware of it in my heart. Tang Shining's intentions were already very clear. He had never accepted her before. One was because he was afraid that he would not be able to take responsibility for her, and the other was that he was not sure about his true thoughts. But since he settled the matter about you last time, he no longer has any knots in his heart. Xu Feng suddenly gained courage, and he made up his mind that he must give happiness to the person in front of him, cherish the person in front of him, and stop making her wait. So he slowly moved over. But she made no other protests, and made no sign. This acquiescence gave Xu Feng more courage. Tang shining under the quilt seemed to have a premonition in her heart at this moment. It was a woman's sixth sense, but she found that she did not resist, but a very strange state of mind. The person in front of her is the person she loves the most, and she is willing to give everything about herself to him without reservation, so she feels a little warm in her heart, and also has a faint expectation for the unknown. Xu Feng moved slowly, understanding everything. After slowly groping, because it is so perfect, it is like a masterpiece of God. Faced with such eyes. Welfare. Chapter 196 Breaking the Island. The whole process lasted for a long time, and his physical strength was not generally strong. From morning to evening, it gradually stopped. At this time, the sunlight outside the window had changed from the morning sun to the sunset. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, it shone on the bed. Tang Shining's hair was covered with black hair like a waterfall, her face was bright red, and she fell asleep from exhaustion. The long eyelashes trembled slightly with a breath, like a butterfly flapping its wings, and there were still traces of sweat on the white forehead, and Xu Feng had already woken up. Although he worked hard from morning to evening, he still had enough energy. Seeing that Tang Shining had fallen asleep, he quietly got up to prepare dinner for her. After all, it was too exhausting, so he had to make up for it. The refrigerator at home is full of ingredients. It should be that Tang Shining often comes to live here, so they are all prepared. But Xu Feng doesn't know how to cook, so he searched for some recipes on the internet with his mobile phone, and was about to try, but thought that if he made dark dishes, it would be harmful to others and himself. So after thousands of choices, he still chose his favorite skill, which he thought he had mastered the best, the following. There are ready-made noodles, just boil a big bone broth, then beat a few eggs, put down the vegetables, and you will have a pot of nutritious noodles. He started to accumulate this skill when he was in college. At that time, he would cook instant noodles by himself in the dormitory. This is also a must-have skill for an otaku. It took more than an hour to make this pork ribs and green vegetable egg noodles, not to mention it smells really good. Tang Shining in the bedroom has been resting for a while, and her physical strength has slowly recovered. In addition, she has not eaten for a day, and her stomach is very hungry. Although she is still in a light sleep at this time, her nose is unconsciously covered by the fragrance of this face. Fascinated, he awoke from his sleep. She opened her eyes, and slowly remembered what had happened. Her face still couldn't help getting hot, but she couldn't help laughing. It was a happy smile. She rubbed her stomach and was about to get up to eat, but when she just lifted the quilt and was about to look for clothes, she found that her clothes had been torn several times for some reason. Thinking that it might have been made in the madness at that time, I had no choice but to wear it, but I had no clothes to wear, so I couldn't just wear it. In the end, I had to find a white shirt from the closet and put it on. Xu Feng made the noodles, and was about to go in to have a look at Tang Shining, but he didn't expect the white figure to come out of the bedroom by himself. Looking at the beautiful figure in his shirt, his heart was suddenly filled with infinite love, and he wanted to protect her well. Seeing Xu Feng, Tang Shining was suddenly a little embarrassed, subconsciously avoiding Xu Feng's hot gaze with her small face, walked straight past Xu Feng with her head down, came to the side of the pot, and gently lifted the lid of the pot. Kai Ongbi sniffed and exclaimed, "It smells so good, I want to eat it." "Okay, I knew you were hungry, so I'll serve it for you," Xu Feng said, taking a bowl from the side. "You go and sit down." After a while, the two came to the table and began to eat. Tang Shining ate the noodles with her head down, silently did not speak, and her eyes always avoided Xu Feng intentionally, not meeting his gaze. Xu Feng's heart skipped a beat. He didn't know if Tang Shining was blaming himself. Thinking about it now, Xu Feng felt a little unbelievable. After analyzing it afterwards, everything was a coincidence. "I just came back from Fengayan world." From another world, it has been more than a year. Although he has been with Yuelao for more than a year, because he knows that it is impossible to be with her, he has never had any wrongdoing left. This constant forbearance and desire to restrain oneself will eventually need a breakthrough to break out, and it just so happens that at this time, Tang Shining comes. So everything can't be avoided. If it is a few days later, when he recovers, such a thing may not happen. But now that I think about it, It is not a bad thing to have accidents in life sometimes. It is these occasional small accidents and small surprises that make life colorful and full of infinite possibilities. For example, this time, although Tang Xining has been accepted in his heart, if there is no unexpected progress this time, the relationship between the two may have to go through many twists and turns. Shaking his head, he stopped thinking about these things, but said to Tang Xining, who was eating noodles with his head down, "Xining, why don't you talk?" Tang Xining stuffed his mouth full of noodles on purpose, and said vaguely, "Too hungry, noodles, too good, to eat." With noodles in his mouth was bulging, it was so cute and cute. Xu Feng couldn't help laughing when he saw it. He really wanted to reach out and pinch this little face. "Eat slowly, you act like you haven't eaten for a few days, is it so scary?" Xu Feng joked. "HMPH. Isn't it all, you?" Tang Xining finally looked at Xu Feng squarely, but only with hatred. "It's all your fault, you still have the nerve to laugh, huh?" Xu Feng rubbed his head and smiled awkwardly. "Okay, I was wrong. Didn't I make noodles for you to apologize? You can eat well, anyway, don't worry, I'm really afraid that you will choke." Before the words finished, Tang Xining suddenly coughed, cough, cough, cough. Xu Feng was startled, jumped up from the chair quickly, came to Tang Xining's side, patted her on the back and said, "It's all right, I guess I hit the mark." Tang Xining coughed for a while, regained her breath, and said angrily, "It's all your fault, you crow's mouth, you're ashamed to say it." Angrily, she punched Xu Feng's chest with her fist. Xu Feng naturally endured it completely, not only has no power at all, but also can make Tang Xining vent his anger. Why not do it? After such a toss, the embarrassment left between the two was swept away and returned to normal. No, it should be said that the relationship was more intimate than before. After passing that hurdle, it was as if the bridge between the two strangers had been opened, and there was no longer any obstacle. Although everyone is an isolated island in this world, through communication, the isolated islands can also communicate with each other. True love will make you feel that there is one more world, and it will become extremely fulfilling. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197. Start the live broadcast. After eating the noodles, it was dark again. In the evening, the two of them naturally had some light heat. After all, it was the first time they had such an experience, so it was inevitable that they would not be able to control it. The next morning, Tang Xining got up and left. She had something to do at school suddenly. After Xu Feng got up, looking at the empty bedroom, he suddenly felt a little inexplicably lonely, which he had never felt before. Before he was alone, no matter where he went, he would not feel this kind of feeling, but now he felt missing, because there was already another person in his heart, and the isolated island was connected to another isolated island. This sense of loss can arise when the other half is not there. I was bored and wanted to find something to do, but found that in the real world, there was nothing to do by myself. In Jiangchen, the Xu Group has become one of the largest consortiums after inheriting the foundation of the Song Group. He has entrusted all the company's affairs to reliable people to operate, and he is really not interested in asking about this aspect. After all, money is already an irrelevant thing to me, because it is no longer my pursuit goal. The money in this world has no meaning to me, it is just a bunch of numbers. There is no need to intervene in the company's affairs. Eating, drinking and having fun, without someone to accompany them, is also tasteless. Xu Feng found that his state of mind was probably related to Tang Xining's departure. It seemed that if she didn't come back, he wouldn't be able to do anything. But this time, Tang Xining's tutor went crazy for some reason and suddenly asked her to work overtime to catch up on a thesis, and probably didn't have time for a week. This torture was enough for both of them. After all, they had just entered the state, and separation at this time would be a kind of torture for both of them. But there was no way, and it was impossible for Xu Feng to help Tang Xining finish the thesis, so he had to be patient. In the midst of boredom, he fiddled with the mobile phone in his hand. Since the mobile phone was struck by lightning, some changes have actually taken place from the outside. The material of the entire mobile phone has changed from the previous plastic and ordinary metal to an unknown material. This material is very miraculous. Xu Feng feels that it should not be something on the earth. Because of the change of the material, this mobile phone can now enter the sea of consciousness or the portable space at any time. Usually when in another world, Xu Feng puts his mobile phone in the sea of consciousness. Its material allows it to exist in Xu Feng's mind in a state between nothingness. Back in the real world, Xu Feng will take it out and use it as a normal mobile phone. Playing with the mobile phone at this moment, Xu Feng looked at the software in the mobile phone, imagining the wonders along the way. So far, I have only used 3 softwares in total, which have brought such a big change to my life. There are still many apps in the mobile phone. What kind of effects will they have? Open my character panel and check the current status of the whole person. To be honest, I can't remember how many system coins I have. Name, Xu Feng. Age, 22. Level, Late Foundation Building Experience Points, 905600/10000000. System coin, 46,200. 100%, 100%, 80%, 100%, 100%. 30. Unlock app, WeChat, Kidian reading, video. Seeing that his strength has reached the late stage of foundation establishment, Xu Feng was also a little surprised. When he was in the world of Jade Immortals, he was still in the early stage of foundation establishment. During this period of experience, his strength has really improved a lot. And when he saw that there were more than 4 system coins, he was surprised again. Although he didn't remember how many system coins he had, it was unlikely that there would be so many. Isn't this a joke? The system has always been stingy. When did I have so many system coins? Could it be that the system thought he was too pitiful and secretly gave it to him? He was so curious that Xu Feng couldn't help but asked, "Sister System, did you give me the system currency because of your pity? Thank you, I will remember your benefits. You think too much? This system currency is a gift from you for killing the fire unicorn and the dragon." The system hint mercilessly. "Oh, I just said, why did you pluck your hair all of a sudden?" Xu Feng thought to himself that he was too naive. Then why didn't I see you remind me when I got the system currency? Well, I don't want to remind you, okay. Alright, you are the master, you have the final say. Xu Feng really has no temper for this system. To be honest, he can't figure out whether this system has his own soul or intelligence. He wanted to explore it before. But now he doesn't want to get to the bottom of it, just treat it as a friend, a big brother. In terms of other exercises, Xu Feng found that at the completion of Tai Chi Zhuan Qing Dao and Dao Wei Ju that he practiced has been further improved, and it seems that he is not far from perfection. On the whole, Xu Feng is still very satisfied with his state, especially when he found out that he had a windfall, which made him bursting with joy. When did I get so rich? Now that I have this windfall, can I consider opening another app? After Xu Feng thought about it for a while, he decided to do it. Entered the system store and spent, system coins to purchase the lottery permission of an app. Then click the lottery with full of anticipation, and in the galaxy-filled display on the mobile phone, a huge prize disc lay across the galaxy. With Xu Feng's confirmation, the whole prize disc started to rotate. Against the background of the galaxy, the lottery disc looks very powerful and domineering, as if the entire galaxy of the universe is chosen by oneself. Of course, this is an illusion. The lottery disc slowly stabilized, and finally the pointer slowly moved across. Xu Feng stared nervously, only to see that the pointer finally stayed on live broadcast. Live broadcast. Xu Feng was full of curiosity. I didn't expect to get a live broadcast, let me see what's interesting. Looking from the main interface, it turned out that a software called live streaming had opened its seal. Xu Feng tapped lightly, and the software started. As the screen unfolds, what is displayed in front of Xu Feng is the most common live broadcast software. On the homepage, there are some internet celebrities with beautiful makeup, some dancing, some singing, and some children of different types. Of course, there are also live games, and other types. In short, on the surface, it is definitely a normal live broadcast software. But Xu Feng already knew the routine of the system. Although everything seemed to be normal, there must be surprises hidden in places he didn't know. With a mood of exploration, Xu Feng clicked on a MM's live broadcast room pushed on the homepage. Chapter 198. Xu Feng entered the live broadcast room and found a beautiful woman on the screen, eating, laughing, and chatting with a melon-eating crowd. She looks a lot like a certain popular first-line female star, but her face is much bigger than that female star, which makes people dawning. It even makes people worry that she will be too tired to walk, and I can't help but want to help her. It can really be called a murder weapon. Xu Feng hadn't watched the live broadcast much before, and today was his first time. He had heard the popularity of the live broadcast before, but he didn't quite understand it. Now that he saw it with his own eyes, he realized that the popularity was not without reason. Imagine those single nerds. How can they have the opportunity to meet such a beauty in their daily life? Not to mention that this beauty may have a few words to themselves, and even after you tip the money, she will specifically sing for you, dance for you. If you are not willing to spend money, you can also wait for other people to reward you and enjoy such a feast for free. It is simply a perfect design, which makes this society less hidden dangers. At this time, the female anchor said lazily, "There are no local tyrants to give gifts to others, so I'm going to download the broadcast and go to eat. I haven't eaten to accompany you." I have to say that the sound is really sweet, crisp to the bone. It makes people listen. When she said this, those who watched the live broadcast burst into flames. How could they bear it? The screen was filled with bullets all of a sudden. "Sister Wan, don't go, I still want to see you. Go eat, don't be hungry, come back soon after eating." "Anchor, where are you from?" "Anchor, I'll bring you food." "Blogger, I'll give you gifts, please don't go." There are all kinds of comments, and sure enough, some people brushed up gifts, slaps, flowers, and so on. Curiously, Xu Feng clicked on the gift bar at the bottom of the screen. After looking at it, he found that these gifts were not worth much at all. Sure enough, the anchor waited for a while, and found that they were all these small gifts. He really couldn't smile. Shaking his head, Xu Feng thought that it is not easy to make money from these live broadcasts. There are not many real rich people watching live broadcasts. Most of them are these dicks who just want to free. Just when Xu Feng was thinking about whether he should show it, a big gift package suddenly popped up on the screen. What's the situation? Could it be a big gift package for beginners? Xu Feng thought it was the kind of gift package given to newcomers by this app, so he didn't care, and opened it casually. Unexpectedly, the system message that popped up startled him. "Congratulations on getting 100 million gold coins." Xu Feng rubbed his eyes, carefully counted the number of zeros, and finally confirmed that it was 100 million gold coins. According to the exchange ratio of, this is equivalent to, million RMB. Although he is not short of money, these things don't mean anything to him, but this can't be a gift bag from app to everyone. There's only one possibility, which is the new situation after the app has mutated. Sure enough, at the same time, a system voice came from my mind. "Mission, use up 100 million gold coins in one day." Damn it! Such a simple task. Xu Feng suspected that he had heard it wrong, thinking that it was very painful to complete a task in the previous apps. Now it is a task of directly spending money. Such a cool ass. Why didn't I find out earlier? It's too late to meet again. You guys are too weak. The anchor is really going to have no money to eat and starve to death. HMPH, see you, I'm off the broadcast, so I won't play with you guys anymore. The anchor Yuan is really ready to broadcast in her heart at this time, and she has been live broadcasting for a long time, and she normally broadcasts it at night. This time she came to Jiangcheng for a trip, and she was going to go out to play today, but the local tyrant who invited her here before suddenly let her go. She naturally didn't want to go out to play alone, so she started the broadcast in the hotel board. During the day, she thought that there were not many people, but she didn't expect to underestimate her own charm. In just 1 hour, there were more than 1,000 people are watching. So she naturally tried her best, sang and danced, but she didn't realize that there were many people watching, but there were very few people buying gifts. After broadcasting for a whole morning, the biggest gift I received was a few sports cars. This is too different from her broadcast at night. At this moment, she has repeatedly hinted that she will download the broadcast, hoping that some rich people will collect gifts, but she is disappointed again and again. She couldn't help but get really angry in her heart, snorted and was about to turn off the camera. Unexpectedly, at this moment, a rocket flew out of the interface. The thing she is most familiar with is the rocket. Seeing it now, let alone how kind it is in her heart, she quickly gathers her eyes to look for the name of the rocket person, and finds that it is a person whose ID is Brother Feng is not short of money. She hastily squeezed out a gentle voice, "Thank you, Brother Feng, for the big rocket. Jiu loves you, so much, love you." At this time, The barrage of the live broadcast was also boiling. 6666. The local tyrant is mighty. There is no humanity. I just watched the live broadcast not long ago, and this is the first time I have seen the rockets. Brother, you have blessed us, thank you. Brother, hurry up and sing a song. Jiuwen also cleared his throat, and said charmingly, Brother Feng, what song do you want to hear? I will sing it for you. She knows men's thoughts best, and she has absolute confidence in her voice and charm, and she knows that as long as she pleases this local tyrant, maybe there will be another rocket? Xu Feng was quite surprised at this time. He just saw that the anchor was very pitiful, so he swiped one casually. He didn't expect to receive such admiration and courtesy. If ordinary people would just float up, people's self-esteem would be greatly satisfied in the process. It seems that those who brush gifts are not difficult to understand, especially this feeling is sometimes addictive. Of course, all this is fine for Xu Feng, his concentration is not so unbearable, but a rocket is only 1,000 RMB, 100,000 gold coins, and his mission today is to spend, million gold coins. Million gold coins, but, rockets, not short of money. So he casually said, you know how to dance? Let's do a dance. The following people who eat melons also followed suit. 6666. The local tyrant begs to hug his thigh. Let's dance, beauty. Brother Tu Hao has spoken. Deduct 1 if you want to watch the anchor dance. Chapter 199 Rocket Rain. After hearing this, Jiuwen smiled and said, okay, then I'll do a dance and give it to Brother Feng. After thinking about it, she was going to dance what she was best at, so she turned up the music, dimmed the lights, and even changed places to the bathroom of the hotel. Xu Feng looked at it with great interest, and to be honest, he was also curious about what this is. Looking at the barrage, I found that those who eat melons have already climaxed. Damn, the anchor 6666 actually jumped. Hurry up and record the video. It's an absolute bonus. I'm lucky today. Thanks to the local tyrant. Just now I saw Jiumaru following the music. The music was really amazing. It was the kind of atmosphere specially created by the sound. Just listening to the music could make the crowd boil. And with the beat of the music, so does Sakumaru. The whole body is distributed from top to bottom. Along with the music, she slowly turned to the other side, and could vaguely see her shadow. Her face was like a shadow, and she looked even more unique. Xu Feng finally understood what it meant. Don't say it's separated, isn't it just like it? It really adds another layer, and it can be seen that she has very good dancing skills, and her body is very soft. Coupled with this kind of dance created by herself, it can catch people's minds very well. Xu Feng was also quite satisfied, and started to swipe the rocket as soon as he moved his fingers. Anyway, the money is not his own, and he doesn't feel bad about spending it at all, and he has a mission. So the rocket rain started. 1, 2, 5, 10. It never stopped. The people who eat melons are going crazy. Damn, local tyrants. Tyrants are inhumane. 66666666666666666666666 inches. Oh my god, this is the first time I've seen rocket rain. The local tyrant begs for cover. Lord, I'm a girl. Do you need someone to warm your bed? At this time, the Jiumaru dance was over, and just when she returned to the phone, she saw the rain of rockets flying all over the sky. She covered her mouth in surprise, and her eyes burst into laughter. I love you so much. What? I love you. I really don't know what to say. Please add me. I'll give you my WeChat ID later, okay? Jiumaru was really in a state of great excitement at the moment. She didn't expect that she would hit such a heavy rain. The rocket rain hadn't stopped yet. It had already reached more than 500. She kept comparing her heart and mind, and even gave the phone a kiss excitedly. The people who eat melons naturally have another burst. This rocket rain kept falling, as if there was no camera. It was like 1,000 arrows. Xu Feng is actually just pointing at the phone screen mechanically at this moment. He is even complaining in his heart, why the biggest gift of this software is only 1,000 yuan, and whether it can make people spend money happily. It is really annoying. Such a point is really tiring and broken fingers, and it is so difficult to spend money. But there is no other way. Xu Feng is going to get all 1 rockets for this anchor, so as not to find other people, which is too troublesome. Fuck, don't you want to be so troublesome? Xu Feng was helpless, but at this moment, Jiuwen and all the melon eaters on the field had already been numbed by the rockets. And through the sharing of people who eat melons, the number of people in the live broadcast room has been increasing during the process of Xu Feng's brushing just now, and it has risen to about 10 people at this moment, which is already a very scary number. On the entire screen of the phone, there are all 6, which have been flooded by barrage. Xiner watched her fans go up slowly. The rocket kept flying. She prayed to God silently in her heart, thinking it was bad luck. When Xu Feng finally stopped due to the system prohibition, the rockets had collected more than 2, which is equivalent to more than 2,000 million, which is usually enough for her live broadcast income for a year. The excitement in my heart is beyond words, and I said excitedly, "Hurry up and add his WeChat, I have already given you the WeChat privately." Reluctantly, he typed, "I plan to brush up to, but it was blocked by the system, so I will withdraw first." What? Get to, my God. What a rich man. Please accept my worship. It's really easy for local tyrants to pick up girls, tonight. Anchor, I also want to add you on WeChat. Are you an idiot upstairs? Someone's anchor will add you to Orbeez WeChat? Swipe 1,000 rockets before talking. When Jiuwen heard that Xu Feng was leaving, he hurriedly said, "Brother, don't forget to add him on WeChat, remember." Xu Feng clicked on the private message, and sure enough, he found that the first message was from her, took a look at it and wrote it down, and then exited the live broadcast room. Seeing Xu Feng leave, Jiuwen also cleared his throat and said, "Everyone, I'm downcasting. Goodbye." He also downcasted. No matter how many people are watching, most of them are, so it is not important to please a real rich man. She excitedly opened WeChat and kept refreshing it. Unfortunately, after waiting for a long time, she didn't see any information about adding herself. Impossible. If she wasn't interested, she couldn't figure out why she gave herself so many rewards. At this time, Xu did not add pills. He still has tasks to complete, and there are still 80% of the tasks. So after exiting Jiumeru's live broadcast room, he randomly entered another room. There is also a female anchor in the room, but it is obviously a completely different style from the Jiu one just now. This one looks very pure, and she is dressed in a very youthful style, with long black hair and a childish face, like a goddess. There are also hundreds of people in the live broadcast room. It seems that radish and green vegetables have their own preferences, and every type of girl can find their own audience on the live broadcast platform. Similarly, as an otaku, he can also choose his favorite anchor according to his own preferences. From this point of view, live broadcasting is really a great invention. The moment Xu Feng came in, the system automatically popped up a line saying "Welcome to the live broadcast room." This is automatically sent by the system, and it is usually the treatment that high-level rich players can enjoy. I have to say that the live broadcast software is very considerate. And Xu Feng brushed the rocket just now, and his wealth level rose from 0 to full level all of a sudden. As soon as the word came out, people who eat melons immediately recognized it in the barrage. Damn it, isn't this the big guy who was shooting rockets in another room just now? 6666, what a local tyrant anchor, you are blessed. Hurry up and kneel down to join me as a local tyrant brother. The anchor welcomes me. Brother how? Those melon eaters had just transferred from Jiuwen and knew Xu Feng's ID, so they booed and made fun of the anchor. The anchor obviously saw those bullet screens, but he still said calmly, "Local tyrant? It's none of my business." Cut. Chapter 200. The anchor is mighty. What's wrong with a local tyrant? It's amazing. 6666. This is the smile I know. I love you smile, goddess. We love you so much. Local tyrants go to hell. Xu Feng was stunned. He was provoking someone. He glanced at the anchor's profile picture, and found that the anchor's name was Liu Xioxio, probably also a staged name. To be honest, when Xu Feng saw her innocent appearance at first sight, Xu Feng still had a good impression of her, but now innocently being teased by her brainless fans, he feels a little unhappiness in his heart for no reason. He didn't take money seriously at first, and he didn't think rich people were so great, but what happened to this female anchor? She put on a posture with her nostrils turned upside down, as if she regarded money as dung. But if it is really so noble, so pure as a white lotus, will it be broadcast live? Xu Feng doesn't quite believe that this kind of person usually establishes a label to make those fans go crazy. For example, at this moment, her behavior of being a local tyrant really makes her fans go crazy. But I am not a soft persimmon, so it feels uncomfortable to be used as a gun by others. Since this female anchor is pretending to be innocent, then I will spend money today to tear off your disguise. So I typed, turtles? Why are you so excited? You love your goddess so much? There's a kind of reward. You say love on your lips, but the money in your pocket is very honest. Xu Feng himself is already a senior member, and he used another prop. His characters are not only large, but also have a different color, which can be said to be very eye-catching. Liu Xiaoxiao's fans naturally saw it, so they exploded. We love our Xiaoxiao. You talk about money as soon as you open your mouth. It's not vulgar. Is money only on your mind? We are not short of money. She is not for money. Who doesn't have money? Isn't it just a gift? Smile, I'll give it to you. There were all kinds of taunts, and a few people were provoked by Xu Feng to brush up gifts, and one even swiped a motorcade, attracting fans once again. Liu Xiaoxiao also said with a faint smile, everyone, don't pay attention to this person, only you know how to laugh best. At this time, Liu Xiaoxiao's heart was full of joy. She didn't expect this local tyrant who came out of nowhere to inspire her fans to send gifts. Sometimes she often uses this method of leaving no trace to stir up the emotions of fans, and then waits for gifts. It seems that today's wave is not bad. Seeing that Xu Feng hadn't left yet, she felt a twitch in her heart, and she was ready to continue spreading some hatred. Regardless of whether the owner of this account was a real rich man or not, she was ready to take the risk. Besides, many dicks now go online to buy other people's high-level numbers, and then go to various live broadcast rooms to pretend to be aggressive. Who knows if this person is this kind of guy, who will not suffer or be fooled, and can still establish a noble image of himself. Brother Feng, I don't care what local tyrant you are, I just want to say that I, Liu Xiaoxiao, don't need money, understand? I just came up to chat with my fans and make friends. If you insult my fans like this, please you get out of my live broadcast room. Xu Feng is really going to be left at, this bitch who is still a bitch and still stands up to the archway. I really just had sex with you today. So he didn't answer anymore, but just shot a rocket out. The live broadcast room, which was originally full of sarcasm, quieted down instantly, but there were still some unwilling to speak hard, and when Xu Feng saw the anchor's face, there was a slight change that was imperceptible. Xu Feng sneered in his heart, and kept his subordinates. The rockets shot out one after another, like brilliant fireworks. It was really beautiful. But the more beautiful the brilliance of this rocket, the more painful it will be when it hits those fans' faces. In the beginning, there were a few rockets and BBs, but when they found that the rockets couldn't stop, none of them spoke. At this moment, Liu Xiaoxiao, who was behind the screen, had an indescribably wonderful expression on her face. Her heart was turning green with regret at this moment. This is a real local tyrant. What were you doing just now? He actually offended this father because of a group of stingy dicks. Although he gave himself so many gifts now, it is obvious that he has offended him just now, and I am afraid that he will not come to his room again in the future. Regret was mixed in her heart, and at this moment, her heart was bleeding, but she still pretended to be calm on the surface. But both her fans and Xu Feng could see that her face was no longer calm. Xu Feng had a sneer in his heart, and when he swiped about 50 rockets, he stood up. Then he typed again, where's the person who shouted just now? One by one, whoever can create a rocket, I will obey you. But that's it, no one can spawn a rocket. But mouthpieces are always ubiquitous, especially some shameless mouthpieces. Sure enough, money is the only thing left for the poor, so what's the matter with you brushing so many rockets? Our goddess of smile won't be convinced by you, right, goddess, hurry up and hate him. Yeah, goddess, beat him up and let him know that you don't care about money. It's a pity that the few people who shouted were permanently banned in the next second, and then kicked out of the live broadcast room. Liu Xiaoxiao was about to go crazy. These idiots really thought they were talents. Would they hate this boss for them? If time could come back, she would never have done that. Now she is full of apprehension, always thinking about how to please the big boss in front of her. Maybe there's still a chance of redemption? So he said cautiously, thank you, Brother Feng, for the rocket rain who is not short of money. Xiaoxiao is really flattered. Just now Xiaoxiao was ignorant and had no limit to her words. Not only did you not feel strange, but you gave Xiaoxiao so many gifts. Xiaoxiao really am ashamed. As she said, her eyes turned red. It really seemed like that, and then waited until the sadness was almost exaggerated, and said softly, Let Xio sing you a song to make amends. Xu Feng sneered in his heart, and typed, singing? Okay, then I can order. Liu Xio didn't expect the boss to reply to herself. It seems that the boss is really not angry. Then I still have a chance, of course. Xio will apologize to you. What do you want Xio to sing, and what I will sing with wine? Oh, is that so? Well, let me think about it then. Xu Feng would not let go of this opportunity. Since this Liu Xio has always presented herself as a pure goddess, pretending to be noble, he ordered the most flirty and lewd song to break her mask. But for a while, I really can't think of any songs of this type. After all, he usually doesn't like this, so I searched on the internet and found a song called Itch. After reading the lyrics, I found that it met my requirements. Then you can sing Itch. At this time, the number of people in the live broadcast room was much higher than before, from a few hundred people to about 1 people. They all came here to join in the fun after hearing about this interesting incident. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.